Radio Generation. The time right now is 6 o'clock, and we are in studio. The People's Breakfast indeed is live and direct on 88.8 FM and 90.7 FM in Mombasa. City Muga is in the studio. How are you doing, City? Mambo iko namna gani?
I am well, Brother Mbuvi.
Yes.
And everything is well.
That is absolutely fantastic,
right?
And I hope the audience and the listeners as well are saying the same thing, that everything is fantastic. So why don't you let us know where you're tuned in from? You can find us on all our social media spaces. That is at Radio Gen KE. You can also find us on YouTube at Radio Generation Kenya. So let's get on business and see what is significant about this day. It is the 13th day of November 2025, and as I was scouring the internet, this is what I found out: that in 1942, the Battle of Guadalcanal,
ilikuwa wapi kwani?
Acha niseme tena hiyo jina, siko sure kama nimesoma vizuri.
Umesema tu yako ile. Kwanza upya baba.
In 1942,
right,
Battle of Guadalcanal. Nilikuwa nimesema Guadalcanal.
Yeah, uliunda zote pamoja.
Nikasema vitu zangu. But anyway, it's actually one word, Guadalcanal. Yeah. In a desperate naval battle, the United States and Japanese forces clashed despite heavy losses on both sides, including the deaths of Rear Admirals Norman Scott and Daniel Callaghan. The U.S. Navy repelled the Japanese, preventing them from reinforcing Guadalcanal. Let me ask you something.
Ask.
I don't know if you know, but perhaps if you do know, please enlighten us. Shida ya Japan during World War II ilikuwa nini haswa? Why did they choose to attack the US, especially at Pearl Harbor?
It's not complicated as you think.
Because I feel like that was an unprovoked battle, war, or whatever you want to call it. Attack, sorry. It was an unprovoked attack.
The Japanese were imperialists and they were colonialists, just so that you understand.
Yes.
They were also expansionists. They expanded into Korea, they expanded into China.
Yeah.
And some of their war and prison camps were some of the worst that history has ever recorded. And they were vicious, brutal colonialists.
Yeah.
Simple history. During that war, they were on the side of the Germans. That is the reason why they were attacking the Americans. Remember, kuna hii ocean ito Pacific. Hii Pacific, America pia wako nayo. You know those many islands that you hear of, the Pacific Islands. Guadalcanal is in that region huko.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, they knew that the Americans had bases in some of these places. They were not just attacking them.
Yeah.
They were attacking them because the Americans had bases there.
Yeah.
So, and those bases made it easier for the Americans to reach what? Japan, if they wanted to launch an attack. So you disable that capacity they have.
Yeah.
That is the whole point, really. Yes. So they entered the war because they were siding with Germany. And as we all know, they lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the Japanese army did whatever they did because they were the reason is they were imperialists.
The Japanese were expansionists. Nimetumia some adjectives hapo.
Kuna imperialists, kuna expansionists,
na kuna colonialists. Yes, they actually went and colonized people. But they had imperialist tendencies. You see, these wars often begin among themselves. The Japanese, wao wenyewe kwa wenyewe, they had very many fights and wars. People gaining territory, emperors being deposed, long history. But they also extended that power beyond their boundaries.
Okay.
Now, Solomon Islands, as I told you, is in the South Pacific.
Yes.
And Guadalcanal is one of those islands. Melanesia, that's what that area tends to be called. But the US, haiko mbali sana na US na pia haiko karibu sana.
Okay.
But it is just, well, think of the story of Russia during the Cold War and Cuba.
Is it safe to say that Russia is also an expansionist state?
Most definitely.
That is why they are so much into Ukraine, Crimea, and all those other spaces.
Yes, but those were part of what they call the USSR.
Yes, the Soviet Union.
Yes, exactly. The Union of the Soviets.
Yes.
Those they had expansionist tendencies. And what they did in each of those territories, when they went there, they took their population there.
Right.
So you will find in all those areas that were part of the USSR, there's an enclave of Russians inside there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nimeambiwa nikuulize by our producer, how was your afternoon?
Jana,
yes.
Quiet. You know, I purpose to make my days as quiet and as uneventful as possible. Yes.
Okay.
It's good for the soul. Yes.
It's good for the soul.
Yes, it is.
Aye.
I focus on doing this which are necessary. Yes. No running around. There's someone I went to see yesterday. I don't remember who it was.
Yes.
Because I needed to see them. But beyond that,
nothing much happened.
Nothing happened out of the ordinary. I sat, I read, I took a nap, woke up, read again. I tried watching a movie.
Yep.
A series called Robin Hood.
Did you enjoy it?
It was very nice.
All right. There are several series by the of that character called Robin Hood.
Ziko nyingi.
But zote ni tamu. Kwa hivyo kama wewe ni mpenzi wa such kinds of things, why don't you find yourself one of those very many productions and enjoy yourself. All right. It is now 7 minutes past 6 o'clock. Are we still in Cape Verde? Where were we yesterday? We were in Cape Verde, right?
So
we were in Cape Verde.
We are going to be in Cape Verde, including tomorrow.
All right.
Right.
So, hey, let me remind you.
Ask.
Tomorrow is Friday.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is.
It is, yeah?
Hai, sasa unaweza kutusomea methali ya leo.
Okay.
Yep.
Where there are riches, thieves abound.
Yeah?
Okay, let me start again. Where there are thieves...
Riches.
Thank you so much. You pay attention.
Of course, bro. Mina kuanga hivyo.
Right, thieves abound. If riches are large, the thieves are big.
If the riches are large, thieves are big.
It sounds like what Kenyans call an obviousity. Yes, because it's obvious.
Yeah.
So
it's obvious. Yani ni ovyo. Okay, that's the wrong translation. But yes, you are right. Where there are riches, there are thieves. And if the riches are big, so are the thieves.
Why do you think the government keeps getting plundered? Because the government has a lot to plunder. You can't plunder nothing.
Actually, you're right. The government is a very rich entity.
They collect money daily. There's no day the government doesn't have money.
And both levels of government, county and national.
There is no day. No day.
Na ndio maana unapata watu wengi wanataka kukua kwa serikali. People, even bribe to join Gava.
Just like they bribe to be traffic policemen.
Yes. It's crazy. It's crazy because there are riches there. So the more the riches, the more the thieves.
Yes.
And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
Hey, right. Shida kwanza hii Kenya yetu. Wizi.
It's bad. Wacha nisalimie watu wawili hapa ambao naona ndio wa kwanza kufika. We have Don Saba who says when one is living in head, he only sees what is in his head. Hence he says and sees what's in his head. CT, is that the same as utopia? When you're living in your head, you only see what is in your head. Hence, you sing and say what is in your head.
That one, you're delusional.
You're delulu. Sijui kama umesikia your word delulu. It's an invention of Gen Z.
Then what does it
all
mean?
Over the world? It's delusional, basically.
Yeah, so then that delulu.
Delulu.
What have I just said?
Dolulu.
Okay. Just as that dululu. Delulu.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are delulu.
When you exist primarily in your head and nowhere else, something is not quite right. Yes.
Okay. John Mutua, this is Chef John, amesema, good morning my lovely show. CT should be a good historian. I love it. Consider opening a museum, bro.
Hapana, ile museums of Kenya ambayo iko pale Museum Hill is good enough.
Ama ufanye YouTube channel ya kupeana historical.
Hapana. No. There are people who have actually studied history.
No.
Who have a lot more information than I do.
You don't have to study history. I didn't study journalism, and yet I am here. I didn't study mass communication, yet I am here. I didn't study any of those things, theater and film arts, nini, yet I do it. So you don't have to study to do it.
Yes, in history, as far as I'm concerned, I do.
I know you can. Well, there's a lot of resource out there as far as history is concerned. You can read books, encyclopedias. There's the internet. You can watch videos.
Thank you so much. I was wondering, why is this guy missing out the most important component?
Yeah, you can watch
videos.
You can watch videos. You can watch movies. You can, there's so much. This resources.
Videos are movies.
Exactly.
National Geographic is a movie. Documentaries are movies.
Okay, sawa.
Ushasikia hiyo?
Ni sawa, bro. So you can extract the information and just disseminate it.
Right.
Hata mwalimu wa jiografia kwa mfano alienda akasoma vitabu vya jiografia, alafu akakuja akafunza wanafunzi. Waweza pia soma vitabu vya sayansi, alafu uje usomeshe wanafunzi. Waweza usoma upishi, alafu kuja upikie watu. Kwa mfano mimi si mpishi, yani sikusomea upishi, lakini mimi ni mpishi. Umekula my meat stroganoff? Meat bolognese? Thank you so much, Don Sabwa and John Mutua, for coming through. And umembowe ni historian, so take up the mantle.
Thank you very much.
And continue. This is good.
I actually have an interest in history.
Yes. All right. Continue vivyo hivyo. Let's get into our website, which is radiogeneration.co.ke. In case you're joining us for the first time, that is also the website where you will get to see and hear Siti Muge and myself and all the other shows that we have across the day. So you can get to see Lady Mathai and Rania during the Retro Box. You can get to see Brano Duor during that show that is called The Power Drive, an amazing show. He also does pranks on that particular show, so you can join him. And then you'll get to meet some two incredible gentlemen, that is Halaiki and one gentleman who goes by the name of Kisiangani. Comedians, but most importantly, good conversationists. So why don't you check out the website, that is radiogeneration.co.ke. And did I tell you that we have weekend programming? Yes, I'll be telling you about it later on. Right now, though, let's check out what's trending in and around the world. And we shall start with this story that has been registered by Tanya Wanjiku. And it's about mob justice, mob injuries, and the DCI officers.
Right.
Tuingie kazi. Now, a police operation to capture suspects linked to the killing of two young men in Kasipul turned violent when a mob attacked detectives at the home of the late MP Ongondo Were, helping 5 suspects escape custody. The officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations had cornered the suspects at Kosele Trading Center before they fled into the former MP's compound in Kachien Village, Central Kasipul Ward. The team pursued them to the homestead where they managed to arrest 5 men believed to have been involved in last week's double murder at Opondo area. So people were at the MP's home. The police operation captured suspects linked to the killing of 2 young men in Kasipulia, which turned violent. And then a mob attacked detectives at the home of the MP, where these suspects escaped. The 2 suspects escaped. Police pursued them, captured 5 of them, and now we have a story on top of another story. What do you think is going on here? And the reason I'm asking you also is because you come from this general area.
Which general area?
Nyanza.
Luo Nyanza.
Ndio hiyo sasa.
Kasipuli kombali na mimi kidogo.
Naam.
Lakini that story is a summary of probably what happened.
Yes, it is.
What is most likely is that these gentlemen who are cornered were known by villagers. Now, if the detectives were plain clothed, if say someone is chasing you and you shout Mwizi,
yes,
and you are the thief, the person who's shouting, who's chasing you is likely to get injured.
Right.
The crowd doesn't say to ask, but wait, why are you running if this guy is the thief? No. By the same token, if the police are chasing someone and they enter that compound, the crowd that is there does not know who these people are. So depends on the communication and whatever somebody says. It can be assumed that these are people who are just seeking to harass them. But they attacked them. But are we told about how the story evolved thereafter?
Of course, it's quite a story here, but it is said that but as the officers prepared to leave, more than 100 youths stormed the compound armed with crude weapons and attacked the police in a bid to rescue the suspects. In the ensuing chaos, 3 officers were injured, among them Rachonyo sub-county DCI boss Daniel Muhuhi. Alipatikana kwa ile milina akaumia. So the injured officers were taken to Rachonyo sub-county hospital for treatment. Police have since launched a manhunt to rearrest the suspects and trace those who organized the mob. Shaenda Uganda.
Wakai huko.
But if they're murder suspects, why would over 100
The
youths.
locals do not know they are murder suspects.
Or they don't believe they are murder suspects because
they probably don't know, but these are people they know. That's my point.
Kwa sababu walijuaje, for example, hao watu wamearestiwa wako kwa mheshimiwa
they were following these fellows up. Remember, these fellows took off. Yes, and they ran in the compound and they were followed. That's how it worked out.
Yeah.
So wherever they were arrested, there must have been people. As I said, this story points to people who are known within the community. Yes.
Because according to this story, the police...
Have you ever seen how a mob works?
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation where a mob works? What happens is this, huh? Let's say there's an accident. Okay, let me give you an example of a certain place in KU called Bishop Square. Do you know why it's called Bishop Square?
I know Bishop Square. I studied in KU.
That is why I've begun the story with something you know.
Okay.
You know why it's called Bishop Square?
Apparently there was a bishop who was killed there?
No. How stories evolved.
Okay.
There was a bishop who was MP for Kenya.
A bishop?
It's called Bishop Ondiek.
Okay.
Bishop
of which church?
Pentecostal United all over the world kind of church.
Okay.
Okay.
Na unauliza tu ndio ni.
Na hata mimi nimekujibu.
Because ni ngumu sana upate a Catholic bishop. But anyway, continue.
I think his church was independent.
Okay.
Okay? These independent breakaway churches from the Catholic Church. That's why I told you, Universal, Pentecostal church everywhere. I don't know I forget the name.
Okay.
But he had a wife who was in my ear. Okay? But the wife, unbeknownst to a young man, whom I also knew because he and I had grown up in Nakuru, was the boyfriend.
Okay.
He didn't know this was somebody's wife.
Ni ule bishop gari yake ilichomwa?
That's it.
I was confusing that and Cassandra Avenue. Cassandra, you know that Cassandra Avenue?
Yes. No,
all right, please continue.
So it transpired that on a day we had elections and people were very excited. The bishop came to visit his wife.
Okay.
Didn't find her in the room, and a gentleman, not knowing, thought maybe this was the uncle, said, oh, she's in so-and-so's room. They were studying.
Okay.
So the bodyguard decided to manhandle this young man.
Yes.
The young man shouted, comrade, I'm being killed.
Wakajibu power.
Well, all of a sudden, there's this crowd. The bishop was with one governor, James Orengo, who at that time was the bishop had many wives.
Yes.
Was his brother-in-law.
Okay.
Orengo,
Missing.
Bishop,
Missing.
Bodyguard come driver,
Missing.
Huyo, towards the barracks. Crowd after them. So 2 people, 3, 4, then a crowd followed. The crowd got me out of my room, and my roommate, a very fast runner, this guy was fast.
Kipchoge Keino.
A sprinter after them. The crowd just kept getting bigger as we moved towards the gate. Now, rumor has it that Orengo was ahead of the bishop. But as they neared the gate, which was shut, suddenly, rumor has it, the bishop overtook Orengo. He was a bigger man. And suddenly he was on the other side of the fence. So people took the view that this man truly was a bishop. He didn't climb any fence, but he was on the other side of the fence. But Orengo had been a student leader. He knew how to talk to comrades.
Yeah.
Okay? The driver, nobody knows where he disappeared to. So when people came back, this crowd, they were seeing this guy that didn't know what to do with it. Someone said, roll it. Nah, roll it. Nah. I remember my roommate saying, no, you guys, you can't do this. Okay? So, no, okay, won't roll it. So when he walked away, somebody said, good, let's roll it. They rolled it. It was a Celeste. Some fuel sort of like spilled out. Then somebody said, I still remember the guy.
Yeah.
Said, see, why don't we just burn this car?
Na ikachomwa.
I don't know where the match came from.
Bro, smokers are everywhere.
As I said, I don't know where the match came from. Suddenly the car was in flames. Man, vehicles burn. The explosion, that's movies. Didn't explode.
Yeah.
Just burnt until it was a shell. To my surprise, I wondered, man, there's a lot of plastic in cars, eh?
Yeah. From the wires, the casing on the wires to the seats, dashboard, many plastics in there.
Yes. That is the story of
Bishop Square. Yes, I remember, now that you've mentioned it, I remember there was a car that was burnt, and that must have been the one. Cassandra, again, another tragic story. Story for another day.
This one, I'm telling you how it happened. Starts with the chase. People are excited. Some want to someone to roll the car. Someone says, burn it. It was one voice, burn it. Before you know, no, don't. No, burn it. No, you shouldn't burn the car. Burn it. A match. Foop. Nobody can tell you through the match.
Okay.
I'm giving that analogy so you understand
how crowds.
Yes.
Mob mentality.
It starts with chasing someone.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, somebody dies.
Yeah. Okay. There you have it. You can get that and more stories. Oh, there's another one here. Let's check out this one by PCS Mudavadi. Kenyan teacher killed, body missing, 8 freed, 3 detained in Tanzania, according to the PCS Mudavadi. A story by Bradley Bosire. Bradley amesema hivi: Kenya is pressing Tanzanian authorities to locate a citizen who was reportedly killed during post-election unrest as concerns rise over the safety of nationals living in the neighboring country. Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi confirmed on Wednesday that John Ogutu, a Kenyan teacher at Sky School in Dar es Salaam, was shot on October 29, 2025 at about 7 p.m. in Goba Center, Ubungo district. The incident occurred during a period of heightened tensions following Tanzania's general election, which was overshadowed by unrest and allegations of interference by non-state actors, including some from Kenya. Mudavadi emphasized that the Kenyan High Commission in Dar es Salaam is providing full consular support, assisting citizens with visa amnesty applications and repatriation where necessary. Right. Sad indeed. A Kenyan, actually not just a Kenyan, but several people, including probably people from other nationalities, lost their lives in this situation, which was absolutely, completely unnecessary. No one had to die. And I don't know why this only happens in third world countries. Let me check out this other story. This one is about Kenyan activist Bob Njagi, who has gone out to expose alleged abuses in Uganda after month-long detention. After spending 38 days in Ugandan custody, Kenyan human rights defender Bob Njagi has spoken out about alleged human rights abuses in Uganda, urging East African governments to act decisively against violations in the region. Njagi described his ordeal as part of a wider pattern of arbitrary arrests and mistreatment allegedly carried out by a military unit under General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the son of Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni. So Njagi amesema the son Muhoozi is undertaking these crimes against humanity. They have been undertaken at the Special Forces Command Center in Sarakasendi, which serves as a training ground for the presidential security team. They call themselves next to none because they answer to no one, not the judiciary, not parliament, not even the executive. He claimed that more than 150 Ugandans remain in secret detention without trial, with some held for over a year. Yeah, so he says that these people have no cases. Most of them are detained for political reasons. Njagi described the detention facilities as the fridge and the freezer, referring to the harsh and inhumane conditions faced by detainees. Njagi further alleged that his arrest was part of a regional security coordination effort involving authorities from Kenya and Tanzania. Yeah?
What does he mean?
He says that our arrest was a coordinated one. The Kenyan government knew we were crossing into Tanzania. They raised the alarm and those guys did the dirty job for them, he claimed.
They were not arrested when they crossed the border. They were at a rally when they were arrested, were they not?
Sasa unajua, sasa niendi anasema hivi.
Na mimi nakwambia, they crossed the border. They were in Uganda. They were in a rally. That's when they were arrested. Yes.
The point here is they were in a fridge, and a freezer.
That is where they ended up.
Yeah. Well, not a fridge. He doesn't literally mean like a literal fridge.
Well, it means once you're in a place where nothing happens, it is not wrong to refer to it as a freezer or a fridge.
Yeah.
You're frozen in time.
Sasa majamaa walikuwa kule, harsh conditions.
You know, they're alive, and I'm grateful that they're alive. But I asked this question when we spoke about it. When you go into a country like Uganda and you are known to represent a certain frame of mind or thought, and you know full well how those people treat people of that frame of mind, what do you expect exactly? Uganda is not Kenya. It is not. Tanzania is not Kenya. And vice versa. So go to these countries knowing full well how you are likely to be treated once you've been labeled as a certain kind of person. Okay? They let one not fool themselves. The fact that you are known to be a champion for freedom doesn't bulletproof you. It insulates you in this country. Because we treat such matters differently. Somalia, Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, Burundi, Rwanda. My friend, go there knowing how they handle such matters, please. Yes. Please. And expect the very worst.
Unajua kuna nini nilifanya juzi on YouTube. There's a video I did, and one of the questions I was asking in that video is, what is the meaning of this thing that we have called Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki? Because part of the reason that Jumuiya exists is so that we can share our values, and especially the good ones, obviously, on matters to do with trade, culture, economics, and politics, governance. So if we can speak out here in Kenya and say, hey, Manzejo City, the way you're doing things is not right. You're the governor of whatever. So we call you out. We should be able to do the same in Uganda.
No.
Let me finish. We should be able to do the same in Uganda, Tanzania. Listen, because we are, there's this thing we are sharing.
No.
Hapana, sisi ni majirani, bro.
No.
The same way, I will not just sit in my house and hear my neighbor.
Does your neighbor eat what you eat?
Let me finish. Whatever he eats, that's his own problem. If he chooses not to eat pia, hiyo ni shida yake. But if nikika hapa nisikie anaua watu, anachapa bibi yake kwa mfano, I should be able to speak out. That is not infringing on his what is it called? His privacy. If he's committing a crime, I call him out and I call the police and I tell the police, look, Siti anachinja watu huku kwake. Siti anachapanga bibi yake. So if I am able to do that in my neighborhood, I should be able to do that in my regional neighborhood.
Paul, our histories began with an element of similarity because we had a common colonizer. But we were very different right from the time we got independence. The East African community worked because of commercial, industrial, and business interests. Nyerere spoke about this and said we made a mistake. He said we should have gotten political parity. We should have come to an understanding of how we're going to run our politics as East Africa. Some of us who got our independence earlier should have delayed it. So that even as we got it, politically, we were going to be on the same mind. Uganda kicked off their independence not long after with a coup. The first president of Uganda was the Kabaka. Obote was prime minister. Punde si punde, disagreement, push and shove, Kabaka is in exile. Obote stays in, next thing you know, Amin is there. Amin was removed with the help of the Tanzanians. Then began a long battle. Obote came back, Mara Lule came, all manner of things. Uganda has had very many seasons of turmoil. Tanzania hasn't, because of their ujamaa. Somalia went belly up completely and is only just now beginning to trace their steps back, trying to improve. Ethiopia deposed the emperor and were under communist rule for a long time. It's only now that they begin to sort themselves out. South Sudan is a new state and they've been in turmoil from the time they got their independence. Sudan has had more coups than anybody can count. There are those who argue there are 14 live ones, 17 attempted ones. Right from the very beginning, from Numeri to Bashir and so forth to Burhan. These are the known ones. They've had these problems.
Yeah.
Rwanda, we know the problems that Rwanda has. We know the problems of Burundi. We know the problems of DRC. These are our neighbors. You have a leader.
Yep.
Lumumba. Somebody decides, no, this fellow is not quite it. Okay? You bring in somebody else. And you kill this leader. Before you know it, you bring somebody else.
Right.
Mobutu Sese Seko. Before you know it, he's deposed. Again, East Africans come together. There's a fight. Kabila, who had been living, Kabila Sina, that is, in Tanzania for a long time, leads that. Mobutu takes off. Our neighbors, a political experience is completely different from ours. Completely. Absolutely. See, these differences, we try to lessen them through business, through free movement.
Yes.
But these are the baby steps. We are very, very far away from political parity, where politically we are on the same page.
Can I just say something about the East African Community Anthem? We have an anthem, yeah?
Yes, we do.
And the chorus plus the 3 stanzas, and I'll try and read them very fast. So the chorus says, Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde. This is the chorus. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Stanza 1. Mungu twaomba ulinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu, uzalendo pia mshikamano viwe msingi wa umoja wetu, na tuilinde uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi zetu. And then stanza 3 lastly says, viwandani na hata mashambani tufanye kazi sote kwa makini, tujitoe kwa hali na mali, tujenge jumuiya bora. Now, loosely translated, and there's also an English version, so it's nothing to do with loosely translated, but I want to focus on verse 2, which says, patriotism and togetherness be the pillars of our unity. Patriotism, from my point of view, is love for country, right? And in this case, love for the community. If I love my neighbors in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and all those countries that are in the EAC, surely, and I see my brothers in Tanzania going through problems and Uganda going through problems, I'm not an activist, but I'm assuming if I were an activist, my core values will tell me, bro, you need to speak out for what is happening in those countries. And I think I should be safe to do it.
No, you will not be safe.
I know I won't be safe, but the same way, if I were in trouble in my own country and the Ugandans can actually speak out on my behalf, they should do it. And they should do it and not get into trouble.
Freedom by its very essence is aspirational. A common market is aspirational. A political unification is always aspirational. And even when you achieve it, there are always issues that are being ironed out. It's always a work in progress. Ours is a work in progress. I am saying this. When you know how people think in your neighboring country,
yes,
whatever it is that you stand for, approach it with the mindset of how those people approach these things.
And I get what you're saying. You're saying these people need to be cautious because
extremely.
Because it's one thing to have it on paper, but vitu kwa ground ni tofauti.
Bro, they are so very, 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 very different. The other day when we had Bwana Adnan here, when he's talking to you about the business, I was fascinated.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinated. That a country that has a port like Somalia has regions within Somalia that require trade from Kenya.
Yeah.
They have a port. The ravages of war. They have to go to the port of Aden, the very tip of it, which is now the Red Sea, to bring it's bizarre. And we are literally a stone throw away.
You know, if we want to be legitimate billionaires, what's a billionaire? Unaingia serikali unaiba pesa.
Hii bandia hii.
If we want to be billionaires, we need to tap to the larger market.
Yes.
Yeah? Because there's no way in our population of 50 million ni ngumu sana si tukue billionaire.
Hata mazi ufanye nini? Hata millionaire
ni ngumu.
Ni ngumu.
In this economy of ours ni ngumu.
Ngumu.
But if you tap into the Tanzanian market that has over 100 million people, then you get into DRC, Somalia. You have a larger market. You have a very huge market. And whatever you're selling here, multiplied by exactly. You can literally, and that for me is what America has got about 300 to 400. I think they are like now 400 million people. Hawajafika 400. Yeah. So they're about 300 million. How many billionaires in that country?
China,
yeah, China, a country of 1 billion plus people.
1.3.
Okay.
India. It's easy to be a billionaire
in those countries, and those are legitimate billionaires. See, mtu aliingia serikali akaiba pesa. It is because they are leveraging on their numbers. Hapa Kenya utangangana bro kuwa billionaire. Anyway, tufanye traffic kidogo. Traffic. Ngong Road looking good. Hapa kuna sehemu ya center pia iko sawa sawa. Kikambala Road hamna shida yote. Lavington area iko sawa. James Gishuru Road good. Gitanga pia inakaa fiti. Naivasha Road no problems there. Dagoretti Road as well, absolutely no problem. Muguga kule sehemu za Wayakiwe beyond looking good. Spring Valley, Kuna Estate looking fantastic at this particular moment. High Ridge as well. Deep Sea Slums, huku ni wapi? Kunaitwa Deep Sea Slums.
Deep Sea? Ukiwa umetoka Westland unataka kwenda upande za Muthaiga. Unajua Muthaiga?
Muthaiga Heights, yes. Kuna barabara nyingine inapita hapo katikati. That's where you'll find Deep Sea. Wow, okay. I need to travel this county of ours called Nairobi. Limuru pia naona mkofiti Limuru Road, that is Muthaiga mko sawa sawa, no problems. There is a very huge, actually several huge red lines. This is on Thika Super Highway. If you're coming from Utali Hotel getting into Pangani, wewe sahau. Kiambu Road as well getting on to Thika Super Highway, hiyo inakaa vibaya tena sana. It's literally red. It looks like you guys are not moving at all. So how you're going to maneuver that, I don't know. Looking out, I'm now zooming into Mombasa area. Mombasa sehemu za kule Mikindani, Miritini hamna shida yote. Bamburi, Bombolulu naona barabara iko shwari. Ngombeni kule mkofiti pia no complaints. Vuga Market hiyo barabara inajulika ikielekea sehemu za Kwale hamna shida yoyote kabisa. This is Likoni Ukunda Road as you're heading towards that county, inakaa iko sawa kabisa. Nikiangalia the island of Mombasa, Mwembe tayari mko sawa. Faza kule Sidiria hamna shida yoyote. Sheikh Abdullah Road also looking good. Mzima Springs ni Mzima Springs ama ni Mzima what? Anyway, there's something called Mzima there. Hiyo barabara naona iko sawa. Abdel Nasser Road as well, no complaints. If you see something that you think I should know, well, you know where to find me. Traffic on Radio Generation. Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. A region where even people don't want to call themselves out for problems. Umeona venye huko hivyo the America region, the way the Canadian Prime Minister will call out Trump and vice versa. The Mexican president will also call out the Canadian.
We are not Americans or Canadians.
President the Canadian Prime Minister, sorry.
There's a way in which those relatives of ours, in my opinion, are rude. It is one thing to call somebody out, it's another one to be rude. We have an East African Community Assembly in Parliament. Vitu zinaweza kuwa raised hapo.
And we pay them salaries.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We even have an East African Court. Okay.
Of Justice.
What I'm saying there is aspirational. The tenets and the foundations of building a stronger union that seeks to meet what you're saying are in the making.
Yeah.
It's a pity that we actually had it in the making, then it was dismantled, and now we've had to start all over again. It's a pity.
Yeah.
You know, our currencies were also on par at that time. Yeah, you didn't need to, there was no foreign exchange. You just went to Tanzania with the Kenyan shilling and spent it.
Yeah.
Yes. You went to Uganda with the Kenyan shilling and spent it.
Because they were equal in value.
Yes. University was University of East Africa. If you want to study law, you went to Dar es Salaam. You want to study medicine, you went to Makerere. Royal Technical College is what we called Nairobi University, essentially engineering and the technical subjects. They were bound to expand with the years, but there are very many people who went to secondary school in Uganda and Tanzania. It was not unusual at all.
And I love what you're saying, because that sounds like an amazing community.
We were there.
It sounds like an amazing community.
We were there. People, you could move up and down as you saw fit. Yes.
Imagine being able to sell your products not only in Kenya but in Tanzania and Uganda.
Yes.
Imagine the amount of money you will make.
Let me tell
without
you,
these borders that we keep on having.
The borders are good, but you see what often happens within our governments. There will be individuals who have an interest in us staying as Kenya and the other countries staying as they are. There are people, even now, just like the individuals who are hell-bent on ensuring that this tribal card and narrative is maintained. May they not even believe in it, but it's a tool that they use for dividing people so that they can benefit. It's not different. Now, the reason why our 2010 constitution becomes useful is because it opens up a space where the freedom you speak of we can express here. They don't have our constitution. They don't.
Anyway, I want to get into the papers. I'm really saddened by the situation that we have in all our East African countries, man. But we do hope that things will be good in future. And our children, by the way, are the ones who are going to make that future. Sisi tuko hapa tu tunang'ang'ana. Headache for Gachagua as Uhuru roars in Mount Kenya. That story is on page 4 and 5. What headache? I thought these guys were buddies now. Jubilee attracting aspirants eager to run on its ticket. Yesterday we spoke to one of 4 deputy party leaders of Jubilee, and from what I heard, these guys actually do have a strategy. Let's wait and see how that pans out. Miracle as man bedridden for over 20 years walks again. Ibrahim Mungai with Kenyatta National Hospital doctors after a successful medical intervention. Wow. Yeah? Bedridden for 20 years. Is now able to work again. Isn't that a story? Ruto on 4-day tour of Kalonzo's stronghold. Tunaona hapa empowerment. President William Ruto during the inspection of Wote affordable housing project. The president launches the construction of a 20-kilometer Emali Matiliku road and commissions Kasikeu and Mikuyu bridges. Ruto issues a title deed to Martha Musao of Kenyo settlement scheme in Emali, Makueni County. Good stuff right here. During Mashujaa celebrations in Kitui, he actually did say that he was going to come back in 2 weeks' time. And looks like he has kept his promise. He's going back to Kambani.
The stadium which was supposed to be built in Wote, have they built it?
The what?
Stadium.
About Jambiwa, unless we get...
Certain they haven't, but...
Yeah. Kuna mahali umeguza microphone yake kazimika.
How's that?
Yeah, we're good now.
What I think it's aspirational.
Yes.
They plan to build it. Could they even put
the stadium now?
You see... When one speaks of the things they plan to do, we are being spoken of. We're being spoken to about the future.
Yes.
When it is spoken of as though it is something that will happen the day after tomorrow, it raises hopes beyond what can be expected.
Yes.
And this is the germinating grounds for disappointment. Because people then assume it's going to happen, and if it doesn't happen immediately, you said.
Well,
the government has plans. Every government has plans. These are things they want to do, because it would be a good thing to have all these things. The story behind Stadia was so that young people have a place they can go to play, meaning expand. So when you're talking about this Talent Academy that we're building here on Ngong Road, that is like a finishing school. People who have excelled in sport go there now to polish their skills so they can enter the job market. Because athletics and sports is a massive job market. What I'm saying is, every president has their style of doing things. Every politician has a style of campaigning. How I wish they would campaign with timelines. Specific. This is the plan. This will be done in the course of the year. This will be done in the second year. This will be done in the third year. But when you lump them all together, the truth is, anybody looking and realize you can't do all these things in a year. Even if you want to, you can't. The money won't allow, because we know how much money we have. Anyway,
Yeah.
I thought I would just mention.
So the president is in Makueni. He promised he'd go to Kitui also, and of course Machakos. So we're waiting to see if that happens. He said that he was gonna commission a couple of roads. Akasema hiyo airstrip ya Kitui itamaliziwa, because right now imewekwa tarmac, but bado kuna vitu hazijamaliziwa. Waeke hata nini inaitwaje kitu mali wa air traffic controllers wanakaanga that area. He also said he was gonna commission, like, I think a dam or two.
Mali air controls on a kaga, it's called Air Control Center.
Hapo sasa. That center, he's going to sort it out. What else did he say, if I can remember well? He spoke about dams. He spoke about anyway, I'd need to go and rewatch that video, but he said several things, but so far so good. Inaonekana ni kama ana keep the promise. Let's wait and see if he will do it 150%. How billions are being looted in counties. This is on page 6, the one graph. Page 20. Technical team wants dishi na county made permanent in Nairobi. Hapo kazi kwa Mheshimiwa Sakaja na timu yake. Looking at the Standard, weak need diplomats.
That's harsh.
Sometimes I wonder.
That's harsh. That's really harsh.
I wonder. Niko na maswali mengi, but anyway, let me read. Weak need diplomat is what the Standard is saying here. Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi is facing mounting criticism for his muted response to the growing abuse of Kenyans in neighboring countries. Yes. From the abduction of activists in Uganda to the brutal killing of a teacher in Tanzania, Kenyans abroad say their government has abandoned them. Instead of summoning diplomats or issuing firm protests, he is being accused of appeasing regional leaders. Mudavadi pales compared to the US Marco Rubio or Russia's Sergei Lavrov, whose words are edicts. This story is on page 6. So we have several people who've made statements here. Let me just read them. Martin Andati anasema, he's a political analyst. He says, Mudavadi is a status quo person. He would not like to rattle Uganda and Tanzania because they are our trading partners. Yet, the lives and property of Kenyans must take precedence over any other interests. Masharia Munene, a history professor, says, each country then has an obligation to ensure its citizens are free from harm. Failure to do that implies the country does not know what its interests that need protecting and advancing are. Professor Gitile Naituli from Multimedia University, Mudavadi's performance has been very underwhelming. You cannot compare him with Ambassador Amina Mohammed. That is what they're saying about
those are opinions.
PCS Mudavadi.
None of them came out to tell us how they understand what you call the diplomatic relations rule book, how people approach issues. The foreign service is not civil society. They're not loud. They're not noisy. They don't blast other people. That's not how diplomacy works. Diplomacy is often almost a whisper. You focus on results. There's this problem. How do we resolve it? What do we need to do to resolve it? Where? Hey. That's not how they go about it. For you to say that someone is underwhelming, you need to tell us exactly what it is that docket that he holds ought to have done. You need to tell us the rule book that foreign service diplomats are supposed to have and how they're supposed to go about their business, and then tell us how he has fallen short of those standards.
Perhaps this is an opportunity then, CT, for the government, PCS Mudavadi's office, to come out and tell us if they haven't, that is. They
very rarely talk about these things, but we will reach out.
Doesn't it? Okay, just because they haven't told us, and from where we sit, perhaps we're thinking they're not doing anything.
I believe they have told us. It's just that they didn't use too many words. They did tell us that they're working. They have spoken.
The fact that a section of Kenyans, whether it's the media or the public, are asking questions, this, I believe,
these aren't questions, these are condemnations.
I believe that it is the time now for the government to come out and say, look guys, remember when Dr. Isaac Mora was here and I asked him, so what's happening? as far as Bob Njagi is concerned. And he said, I cannot speak over the matter because it's been handled. And I respected that stand. And thank God, a week later, we have seen that indeed it was handled. And I'm glad that it has been handled. But perhaps that question wouldn't have come up if we had actually seen something happening. We know that, yes, kuna some delicate issues, and we also know that we are dealing with human beings here. And the way things are done in Kenya doesn't necessarily mean it's how they are done in Tanzania, Uganda. So if only the government can just come in. Because what we see in other countries, again, we will have to refer to US and the UK. When something of a similar nature has happened, you will see the government saying that, yes, we are aware that 3 individuals or 2 individuals are lost somewhere, or they have disappeared in this country. And the government is doing everything it can do to ensure the safe return of those individuals.
Do you know why it happens that way in those countries?
Why does it?
The representatives will make that noise and tell government, excuse me,
yes,
this person comes from my constituency, my ward, where are they?
Yeah.
Okay?
Na utaona MP, mimi sijui MP wa Bob Njagi ama wa Nicholas Oyoni nani, sijasikia wakisema chochote, ama maybe wamekuwa kisema na mimi ndio sijakuwa nikiona.
I have not heard or read anything.
Sijasikia governor wake ama governors
wao. They all have MCAs, they all have MPs.
Yes.
That is where the noise normally begins.
Yes.
Because that's what delegated power means.
Yeah.
So that you then start pushing, and government, excuse me, this is my constituent, they're not here. Where are they?
Yeah. God forbid. You remember when we had that situation with CS Muturi? He made noise because it was his family, it was his kin and kith, as you call them, that alikuwa amefanya nini, alikuwa amekamatwa, and he made noise. God forbid, had it been a CS or a principal secretary or a governor, mtoto wake ndiye angekuwa amepotea kule Uganda, do you think watu wangetulia? Hawangetulia. So I guess the question that Kenyans are asking, kwani life ya the common mwananchi, and in this case is Bob na Nicholas, kwani maisha yao si amani?
But you're being told.
Yeah.
Bro, why aren't we listening to what we're being told? Look, we will look for the CS. No, CS won't come. We will look for the PS.
The CS won't come.
It won't come.
I'm sorry.
It won't come.
Continue.
You won't come. Let me look for the PS. Let me have a word with him. And see if he is able to come, and we can talk about this.
Please do.
CS I know will not come.
Yep.
Yes.
Please do. Uko na Daily Nation hapa ama nikupatie?
Niko nayo.
Okay. Hebu tuambie inasema nini?
But this is a very very harsh headline, and it's unfair.
Or the one for CS,
no,
PCS,
it is
Mudavadi.
No, it is unnecessarily harsh.
Okay.
I mean, even if we want to sell papers, it's too harsh.
But what if this is what is needed for people? And I'm not agreeing with the headline.
Of course you are.
I'm just asking.
Stop backpedaling. Just move forward since you started moving forward.
Siti mimi ndio niko kwa akili yangu, si wewe.
Yeah, but I'm listening to you and you're backpedaling.
Wacha nikwambie kile namaanisha. What if this is what is needed for us to start seeing action?
Okay, they've said it. Now what has happened?
I'm just saying, perhaps if it were in all these other 3 newspapers, perhaps maybe.
The Nation has made the headline about Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo.
Yes.
The Standard has made the headline about Mudavadi. That's the difference. Okay? And they have not even furnished us, as I said, with a clear understanding of what it is that the diplomatic rule book says, because there is such a rule book about how such matters are handled. Okay? Who in the East African community would raise issues, who would talk to who. These discussions are never noisy.
Yeah.
And they're not on live TV or on all social media platforms. They're not. Okay?
Can I tell you who else is agreeing with that headline? Our listener stroke audience called Sonnet anasema Mudavadi has been weak.
As I said, those are opinions.
Yep.
It is a harsh headline, an unnecessarily harsh headline. Again, my opinion.
Yep.
Yes.
Some of you.
Abduction. President Yoweri Museveni has admitted holding the duo women described as chaos experts. He had said before that he didn't know where they were, didn't he?
Yes. Very clearly.
I know. If I read it, then it was clear. Now he says they are torture experts. Chaos experts. We went to Uganda because we are East Africans. We are East African community citizens. I keep asking myself, what wrong did we do by crossing the border? Nicholas Oyo. You went to Uganda thinking it was Kenya. That is a problem. Yes. Museveni. This is a quote from him. They have been with us. I have their names. They were working with Mulanji's group. They are experts in chaos.
Yes, he said it.
He said it. Torture. What has begun as a brief border crossing visit for Kenyan activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Yeo turned into a brutal test of endurance that neither of them will ever forget. For 38 days, they were blindfolded, chained to chairs, beaten in dark and cold dungeons. Their mistake, traveling to Uganda to attend a manifest launch of the country's opposition leader, Bobby Wine. That is a very different story from the one that we read.
Yeah.
If I look at the Business Daily, there is what they have to say. Kenya to ban electronics imports over 12 years old. Meaning if something is 12 years old and yes, new rules.
Please say it again.
Kenya to ban electronics imports over 12 years old.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
New rules seek to protect public from health hazards. Yeah, age restrictions based on UNEP guidelines. Kenya is set to ban the importation of electronics such as televisions, refrigerators, smartphones, computers and other households and industrial appliances that are older than 12 years from the manufacturing date in a war on electronic waste dumping. The restriction proposed under the draft regulations of the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, aims to minimize e-waste and protect the public from exposure to toxic materials linked to cancer and other health hazards. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
The other way of looking at it is a commercial angle where you're more or less being coerced into buying something new.
However, technology changes. Like nowadays, tech changes monthly and in some cases even weekly. For instance, there is a new iPhone 17. And the previous model was released last year same time. So you can imagine if you were going to buy a product that is probably 5 years old, your technology is behind by 5 years. Some of the updates can't even be installed.
Yes, I see it even on the computer. I'm told this application is outdated. You either need to buy a new one or do that. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
And I understand the commercial element in it. Oh, I understand it. So that I don't understand it.
My phone, for instance, is 7 years old and it has started misbehaving. So it's prompting me to buy a brand new phone. And that's just 7 years old. So you can imagine one that is 12 years older. Perhaps they should even consider it's just because of stock, and stock has got to be sold. But companies such as Apple, when you're using my iPhone, and Google, they now have a formula where they can literally, so that we can also reduce e-waste, electronic waste. They have this formula whereby they know how many phones to produce for the market. They have checked their trends for the last number of years. Decades, yes. And they know that indeed, if we produce, say, 1 million devices, we shall sell at the very least 97%. And you see now we are reducing the waste by about 3%. And the remaining 3%, for instance, can be recycled. So we can probably take the screen, use it for a different device, and we'll still reduce the number of waste. So Historia 12 years for me makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense, and what you've said now makes even more sense. The problem isn't with us who buy, it's those who produce.
Bas.
If you produce just a little bit above what you anticipate will be bought, then the waste that you speak of is already minimized from the point where you manufacture to the time when it is bought.
And they also now have a process whereby, again, like for example, this phone. If I purchase a new one, now there's the way you can recycle this, or you can take it for a center where it can be recycled. So again, it reduces the amount of e-pollution in the environment. So that means these plastics won't end up somewhere in the environment.
We're having a similar conversation with an Uber driver, not my regular Uber driver. We were talking about electronic vehicles.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he wants to buy. And I told him, when technology is new, because this technology is new, give it time. Just give it a bit more time. Let mistakes be made. Let people understand a little better. Centers for charging increase, so that you don't get stuck in the middle of nowhere with the electronic vehicle.
And you don't know what to do with it.
Yes, exactly.
Huku Kenya hakuna makanika wa hizo vitu, by the way.
Ni battery bro. Sasa wewe kama battery hakuna.
Ni hivyo.
Na gari hizo battery ni kubwa.
Haya, we're taking a short break, getting into the news, and then when we return, I shall read some of your shout-outs. I can see a couple of you tuned in, and you've given your opinion on some of the issues we've spoken here, so I'll definitely read them out. Right now, though, let me introduce you in case you do not know this lady, Winnie Maganga.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Isiolo South Member of Parliament Mohammed Tubi has passed away. Mohammed died on Wednesday while undergoing treatment at Nairobi Hospital. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula announced the lawmaker's demise through an official statement on Wednesday. Speaker Wetangula called on lawmakers to remember the late MP for his service to the nation. The legislator was elected in August 2022 under the Jubilee Party and was serving his first term. The Kenyan government has been urged to grant asylum to Tanzanian opposition members fleeing persecution. Roots Party leader and lawyer George Wajakoya says he is currently hosting several Chadema leaders seeking refuge in Kenya. The Chadema officials claim the situation in Tanzania has become unbearable, citing continued killings, abductions, and torture of those opposing President Samia Suluhu's administration.
Tarehe 1, tarehe 2 kulikuwa na mauaji makubwa sana yanaendelea katika nchi yetu. Na sababu kubwa ya watu kuuawa ni ile madai ya kutaka mfumo huru wa uchaguzi, kutaka katiba mpya. Vijana hawajasikilizwa kwa muda mrefu, na hata kabla ya uchaguzi hali haikuwa nzuri Tanzania. Yani ndani tu ya mwezi mmoja, mwezi ule wa 10 kuelekea uchaguzi, vijana zaidi ya 54 walikuwa wametekwa na mpaka sasa hivi haijulikani waliko.
Inatisha kuona kwamba taifa ambalo ilikuwa ni Eden ya amani na utulivu imegeuka kuwa uwanja wa damu kabisa. Kwa hiyo mimi na wenzangu na mamia ya vijana wa Tanzania wamekimbia maeneo mbalimbali ya nchi kuokoa maisha yao.
As you know, the situation in Tanzania has become very volatile. Frequent abuse of human rights.
Kenyan human rights defender Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo have spoken out about alleged human rights abuses in Uganda. After spending 38 days in Ugandan custody, Njagi described his ordeal as part of a wider pattern of arbitrary arrest and mistreatment allegedly carried out by military unit. He claimed more than 150 Ugandans remain in secret detention without trial, with some held over a year. The rights defender also called on East African governments to act decisively against violations in the region.
I was tortured on the second day during interrogation. I was removed from the cell, blindfolded, taken to a room, chained into a chair like this on one hand, one officer at the back, another officer in the front. The one in the front would hit me with blows while I'm being asked, because they took our phones. And so they would go through the phones and ask us question, who is so-and-so? Who is funding this movement? What have you come here to Uganda to do?
I was tied to something like this, and I was whipped severally, and they could ask me questions about some of those groups that we were in.
Police in Kirinyaga have arrested 3 Nigerian nationals suspected of running a cyber fraud ring in Mwea town. The suspects were nabbed during a multi-agency raid at a rented apartment in Mwaliko Estate, following reports of suspicious movements and late-night activities. Detectives recovered 21 mobile phones, 79 SIM cards, a laptop, and several credit cards from different banks, pointing to a well-coordinated fraud network. Investigations showed the suspects were in the country illegally, with expired entry passes and no valid work permits. 7 men have survived being lost at sea for 6 days after their boat capsized in the Mediterranean, with 42 people presumed dead. The International Organization for Migration has said. The UN agency said the rubber vessel carrying 47 men and 2 women capsized on 3rd of November, 6 hours after departing the coastal Libyan town of Zuwara. The death toll in the central Mediterranean route passed 1,000 this year, according to the latest data from IOM's Missing Migrants Project. The 7 survivors are from Sudan, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Somalia. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Radio Generation, 88.8 FM in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa. A very good morning to you. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Like I said, I'll read some comments here coming through from YouTube. Wacha nianze na Norbert Award. Amesema Uncle and Brother Mbuvi, good morning. How are you this morning? Well, Norbert, we are doing well. Thank you so much. Nell, morning Mbuvi and City. History teaches us that men and nations have wisely once... History teaches us that men and nations behave wisely once they have exhausted all other alternatives. Kweli urongo, City?
Wewe onaje? Wewe onaje? Onaje wewe?
But those are wise words, Nell. Actually, let me just read them again. History teaches us that men and nations behave wisely once they have exhausted all other alternatives. Haya. My take anasema there is always a red line into what to engage in when you are in someone else's compound. One of those red lines is engaging in direct politics. There's a time in a previous estate where I used to live, my neighbor who was about probably 2 floors above me was very violent with his significant other. They had a child together. So this wife of his was friends with my that time was friends with my partner. So one day when they decided to do whatever violent activity they had, she started screaming out my name. Akaanza kusema Mbuvi. Siti, hebu nikuulize, wewe kama Mbuvi ungefanya nini?
Mimi? Singekaribia hapo.
Kabisa. You know the kind of scream she let out, eh? It wasn't the kawaida, Mbuvi kuja. No, it was an eerie scream. Like it was a cry for help. Like it was a proper.
Alikuwa nakufa na jina yako.
So
mbona hakukufa na jina ya your significant other?
So that night I ignored it because also my girlfriend looked at me and she was like, unasikia unaitwa? So the next morning, of course, wife akaenda kumuuliza, bana, drama gani?
Mbona bwana?
Hizi ni drama gani bana? What was happening?
Yes.
She was like, nilikuwa namalizwa. So mimi nikamwambia my friend.
Na bado yuko hapo tu naongea namalizwa.
Walikuwa pamoja I was in but nowadays they are not. I told her I was in deep sleep and I didn't hear nothing.
And of course you heard.
I heard, yes, for sure. So anyway, a few weeks later, same thing happened. This time I said, imagine I'll just have to go because I don't know. Pia unajua maneiba wanaweza ni Mbuvi ndiye anamuua. So I went and I told this guy,
bro,
I said, what's up? And I sat the guy down and we spoke and I told him, see, you just if this woman, come on, Penny,
Kama haiwezekani,
just let her go.
Oh, yeah.
People co-parent and they have lived to see another day. So what's up? So long story short, from that day henceforth, they never got physical. But I think after that, they spoke and they realized this thing is not going anywhere, and they went their separate ways. So I'm glad at one point I spoke out, and I am glad that it saved someone's life, because we know of situations whereby people do not live to see another day after such kinds of incidences. So what I'm saying is,
bibi ya mtu anapiga na analia na jina yangu na niende.
Usiku wa manane.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, long story short, be your brother's keeper. Sometimes you do not have to.
This is not your brother, this is your brother's wife.
No, I kept the man, and we are good friends to date. I actually met him, I think, like 3 days ago. Akinunua sukuma mahali nilikuwa nanunua nyanya, na tukagoteana, and life moved on.
What I don't understand is not the disagreements, but the violence. Why the violence?
I also will never understand.
Why?
So I was responding to what my taker said. There is always a red line into what to engage in when you are in someone else's compound. One of those red lines is engaging in direct politics. You can also advise your political person, your political friend. You can advise them.
Look,
you don't have to call them out. You can just tell them, City, what you're doing there is wrong.
Paul, let me ask you. You have siblings.
Yes, I do.
If something was going wrong with the children or a child of one of your siblings, how do you go about approaching that matter with your sibling? And you know, and you probably know your brother or sister doesn't know. What do you do?
Okay, kindly come again so that I can put it into perspective.
You have siblings have children.
Yes.
Something is going wrong with the children. You know, but you're not certain these siblings know.
Okay.
How would you go about addressing this issue?
I'll definitely ask the child if it's something that he or she has spoken with their father or their mother. And if they haven't, I would like to understand why they haven't. Then I would advise them to approach and talk to the parents. But I'll also tell them that if you don't do it, I'll have to do it. Especially if it's a situation I'm seeing that can get out of hand. It could be, I can't imagine what it could be, but whatever it is, I'm sure I'll be like, you need to approach your parents. Because if you do not tell them, I might be the one who will tell them. I can also engage another sibling and tell them, by the mtoto wa CT, and I'll go through ABC. Is it something you think we can help? Or do we need to engage the parents and see how they can also help in this situation? So that's how I'd approach it.
You should have joined the diplomatic corps. You understand how to approach things diplomatically. That is exactly what you do. You are cautious.
Yeah.
You cover your bases. You speak to the child.
Yes.
When then you speak to the child, you get reference, you get advice, you share, you collect your thoughts. Before you see, you don't just rush in and tell the parent. Advising parents, even if it's your siblings, about their children, it can be a very extremely hazardous occupation.
Yes.
It's something you must tread very carefully. Now, if siblings, we are that careful, some other country, God knows where, next to God knows where, surely how much caution should we then not apply? You know that the issue of the opposition is a thorn in the flesh for those people. And they react violently to it. There is a track record of violent reactions. You do not need to be told. You've seen it over and over. And as you speak, one of the key opposition leaders is actually incarcerated as we write and as we speak. You know. What makes you think you're going to be treated differently? You see, it is the same thing when somebody comes to you. They come to you and tell you, my child has this problem.
Yep.
You want to be very slow to offer advice. You want to be very quick to listen and to seek to understand the situation more and more and more. Not offer advice. Ask.
Yeah.
Let them explain. Tell them, what about this you've said? What does it mean? In fact, spend that whole time just getting to understand this thing better.
Yep.
Part of the reason is, as this person is talking, they can also hear themselves. And the process of hearing yourself, this person can arrive at a solution which is better than the one that he's seeking from you, because after all, they know the child better than you do.
Yeah.
And they know themselves better than you do. Issues that have to do with thorny issues have to be handled extremely delicately. Yes.
True story. My take, thank you for that. But he goes on to say, it's not rocket science that one should not involve him or herself in internal affairs of another house. It's just common sense. I mean, hata wewe unafaa kujua boundaries Si sasa unaanza pia kusalimia bibi za neighbor wako na kuanza kuwapatia wifi password.
Hello Alice, how are you?
Ati hello Alice. Ama wewe ni Alice ndio unaanza kusalimia bwana za wenyewe. Hi City.
Happy today. When you say hi.
Hi City.
Basi hiyo ni salamu imepigwa pumzi.
Unataka kunyongwa. That is being very undiplomatic.
Unalika shida.
Wacha hizo. Aya. Then we have Norbert Owora anasema the intention of East Africa community was noble. There's cold war amongst the countries and Kenya is being fought left, right and center. That EAC anthem is a sham. Listen to leaders in TZ and UG speak. You'll vomit. Yeah, no, but it doesn't mean that the people in that country are not for the EAC community, right? For the EA community. And I'm sure even there are people within those countries who are like, no, we do not want any interaction with Kenya. We don't want any interaction with Tanzania. We get it. And it's normal.
The thing is, let's not to be too harsh. Our histories are very different. Our experiences from independence are very different.
Yes, they are.
Okay? We are fortunate. We are extremely fortunate and blessed. The only time we have had something that is akin to internal strife was in 2008. There are countries that have had it for years, going in and out and in and out and in. 1,000 people died and we said, why? My friend, the place where 1 million people died, not 1,000, not 100,000, 1 million. And they have to move on and they have to live. The others who've never really known peace. The others who fought with their kith and kin simply because mistakes were made at an earlier time. One part of their country seemed to develop more than others. The community that was in charge then preferred to push the agenda of their own people. Military bases were placed in their part of the country. People who held many key positions were from their part of the country. These are internal problems that almost every country has, and you have to look at them.
Yeah.
Because the sort of problems they cause, it takes years and years and years to resolve. We have a neighboring country where clan wars, not tribal, clan. Same culture, same language. But people speak of something that happened 20 years ago because as though it happened yesterday or a few hours ago. That's the spirit of a vendetta.
Yeah.
And people don't want to forgive. And when someone explains to you what's wrong, the wrong is a communicator, but he comes from this clan. Said, yeah, but what's wrong? Yeah, but he comes from this clan. Okay, so if he comes from this clan, what is the problem then? Then somebody takes you down history lane and explains to you how these people did this to our people 50 years ago. Say when?
50 years ago.
Okay, and in the intervening time, no, we have not forgiven. I said, 50.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you hope to do? No, they will continue being our enemies. And how do you benefit when these people continue being your enemies? They must know who we are. Say, man, there is a continuous spirit of unrest that if not checked at the time when it rears its head, it creates untold suffering upon the people of a country. Look at the South Sudanese. Clamored for independence. As we say in Kenya, sasa wanazozana wenyewe kwa wenyewe. The moment Garang died, Salva Kiir took over. That country has not known peace. And the biggest curse is the mineral wealth they have. Oil. The biggest curse. So you'll find a very good number on both sides of the political divide who have the means. Have homes in Kenya or Uganda. They visit here very often. Their children go to school here. So that problem that we are hearing about, okay? it doesn't really affect their families directly. Not really. They've learned well from us.
Yes.
Because many who are in the leadership class didn't have the children in the 844 system.
Yeah.
And if they did, it wasn't in schools that had these perennial problems. They had books, they had all the facilities.
Yeah.
And when it came to university, again, they were not troubled by the strikes and problems that we had locally here. That disconnect is a process where now the common mwananchi, as we call them, is disenfranchised. And this person just keeps being disenfranchised with every electoral cycle.
Yeah.
And the leaders don't see it. You know, people assume that because of communism, say for instance, in Russia, there were no rich people. Even before the oligarchs, there were rich people. Those who were senior party officials were privileged. When people queued, long queues for black bread, they didn't queue. They had special shops they went to. They went for holidays in the Black Sea. They had private accounts in the West. These problems we speak of are not African problems. They are human problems. And they must be seen as such.
Yeah.
And if you're wise, you must be cognizant of some of these things. And you must be sensitive to them. We Kenyans are in the habit of speaking loudly and badly about other people.
Yeah.
For heaven's sake.
And calling others weak-kneed.
And calling others weak-kneed. Among ourselves, we know each other.
Okay.
You take that trend and start calling other people in another country. I mean, they take offense. They really, really, really take offense. Because we had Utali College for the longest time, many people from around the East African and Eastern Central would come to Kenya to train. But when you talked about the hotel industry in this region,
yes,
the people who led them were mostly Kenyans. Because of the consistent peace we had over a long period of time, multinationals like banks that had branches all over East Africa, many of these banks were headed by Kenyans.
Okay.
We have had that privilege. So you don't rub it in. You don't start calling people names. The same habit you have in your country where you refer to each other. Kenyans know and understand. It's not that they don't take offense, but they are Kenyans. Now, you take those insults to another country, they will not take it well. Now, the moment you represent us, it is not now you, it is us. You say something, it's these Kenyans, and it is you who said it, one person.
Yeah. Ni kweli. Hapa kuna sorry, karibu nyongo na mate. Kuna jamaa ni guy. There's a guy called guy.
All right.
Captain, he's called Captain Farah Salah. He's a very huge fan of this show. And when I say huge, I mean like he's a huge fan. And also huge in the fan base.
In the fan base.
Yeah. Anyway,
and in the fan club.
Yes, big shout out to Mr. Farah Salah. Amesema anataka tumtaje kwenye radio ndio at least watu wake Captain ndio watu wake wa huko South Sea wajue ya kwamba anajulikana.
Safara bwana wewe bwana wajulikana.
So Farah ni fan sugu sana of the People's Breakfast. Once in a while you'll also find him on Fridays, enjoying the company of his friends, Radio Generation, anasikizanga from morning all the way till evening, till the wind down. He's a fan. He's also one of the people who've retweeted this show the most on X. He has over, I've checked this month alone, actually this week alone, over 700 times.
Which means he is truly a fan.
He is a fan. I actually don't think it's either his radio, hiyo knob ya kuturn radio imeharibika, haijatoka kwa 88.8 FM. Ama alieka na sellotape na akamwagilia super glue. So thank you so much Salah for being a huge fan. Before we get into other news stories, let me just read this haraka. There is also Sonnet amesema hello CT and Radio Generation team. Thank you so much. He has said that sorry CT, but Trump has changed the rules of diplomacy as we know it. The lives of Kenyans are important. Ana respond to ile so ilikuwa tunasema ya Mudavadi. Emmanuel Templar amesema Mudavadi oversaw the abductions of Bessie J by Ugandan army in Kenya and his illegal extradition.
No. How do you to oversee means he was there giving instructions and telling people, or he's the one who arranged it, and so he was making sure it happened. That is not true.
Yes. Si malize kenye amesema.
No,
Emmanuel
when
Templar.
someone speaks an untruth like that,
tunamkati hapo.
you nip it in the bud, then you continue.
All right.
Mudavadi did not oversee whatever it is he's talking about.
So
first of all, that was the Ministry of Interior. Hii mambo ya police and security, but it's not foreign service.
Si nimalize. Nimalize sasa. Emmanuel Templar anasema Mudavadi oversaw the abductions of Besigye by Ugandan army in Kenya and his illegal extradition to Uganda. Ruto and Museveni are coordinating. Hapa kuna kidogo gramu imeenda kando.
Ni maoni yake.
So amesema Ruto and Museveni are coordinating his extrajudicial destruction of opposition. Haya, Emmanuel Templar, thank you for your comment. Sonet anasema Mudavadi has been guy. Hiyo sitasoma. Then do you have any new comment here? Let me see. Njuki Mungai amesema when a man who purports to be a hunter is seen carrying a goat, that is a thief. Good morning, gang. I love your show, Sana. Thank you, Njuki. Alex Mwai tuned in from Trans Nzoia County, and then last but not least, Norbert Woro amesema Bwana, I'm also a huge fan. Well, thank you so much, Norbert, for being a huge fan. So Captain Farah amesema CT after this atakununulia kahawa ama soda, whichever you like.
Thank you very much.
Now he has also promised me shawarma. Thank you so much, Farah, for that shawarma. I shall take it and I shall definitely chew it as we continue with the show. Who else? All right, sawa. Let's there's a paper tuko tumeuliza kuangalia hapa, ndiko amesema nitasoma. This miracle as man bedridden for over 20 years walks again. It's a story on page 9 of the Star newspaper. Let me just check it out real fast. Here we go. Medical miracle as man bedridden for over 20 years treated and walks again. For 20 years, Ibrahim Mungai, who's 52, had been confined to his bed, unable to walk. His story has, however, changed following a successful medical intervention. Tragedy struck in 2004 when tuberculosis of the spine left him bedridden. For over 2 decades in Kikuyu, Kiambu County, he faced immense challenges of immobility and the secondary health issues. In July, his journey took a critical turn when he was referred to Kenyatta National Hospital. He arrived fighting for his life with severe pressure sores, a rampant urinary tract infection, and failing kidneys. The situation became so dire that he fell into a deep 3-day coma. The KNH medical team swung into action, and after 6 intensive dialysis sessions, a miracle happened. Ibrahim woke up. Yeah, he then bravely underwent a 2-hour surgery on August 4th to address a serious scrotal infection and began the long journey to recovery. A dedicated team of wound care nurses, physiotherapists, counselors, and nutritionists worked with him for 3 months to heal not just his body, but his spirits. The results, nothing short of amazing. After more than 20 years, Ibrahim can now sit up on his own, move independently in a wheelchair, and stand on his own 2 feet. If that is not a miracle, what is that? This guy is 52. But the photo that I'm seeing here, he can pass off as like a 90-year-old man. But he's only 52, and I believe now this is going to change his life completely. You know, people don't realize that one disease or one ailment can actually birth like another 52 problems. From infections, the sores that we were talking about, because you know when you're bedridden, chances are you don't move much. Na hiyo side moja wewe inafika inaganda, alafu inakuwa ikisha ganda inakuwa kidonda, then it's a problem. But for Mr. Ibrahim Mungai, I'm actually happy for him, man. Can you imagine he's having a new experience at 52? For him, we can now say life begins at 52.
He never gave up, that's the thing.
I like that also. Yes, he never gave up. You know what this means? Actually, I hope we can see some corporate bodies coming through for him. They cannot replace what he lost in 20 years, but they can give him a new lease of life.
The way these things work, effectively, if you ask me, let the community get together.
Yep.
For him to get here, amesaidiwa na watu.
For sure.
See, that Harambee spirit that we speak of, it's what has made very many things possible. We now talk about WhatsApp groups, and sometimes we get a bit tired because there are very many. But many of them speak to needs. I have learned it is not a huge amount.
Yep.
It's what you have. Kile ulichonacho.
Ndio. Mimi lakini ikisema corporates, unajua kuna corporates hapa huwa zinafanya turnover ya billions or they report profits in the billions.
Mimi nimekusikia na ninakubali, but my leaning is towards self-reliance. You'll always hear me talking about what the community should do.
Yeah. Because
the focus on corporates is the same focus on mheshimiwa and government. Unajua serikali hajafanya hii, nini hajafanya hii. I am disinclined to focus my attention in that direction. I'm inclined towards focusing on what I can't do. Maybe the two of us can do tukikubaliana. If the two of us can't, if we bring a third person, we can do it. That's what I mean. That is the sort of mindset that when we determine to hold our leaders to account, we can.
Yeah.
Because not just me, it's us. We are already doing this thing to say, guys, you know, this is not working for us. Can we go and see our MCA? He will see 3 people coming to see him. He will think it's only 3, but there's an ecosystem. Next time he'll find 10 people. He'll realize this thing is serious. All I'm saying is the need to be able to do things that you can on your own or within the ecosystem you belong to. And we see it. We see it even in poverty-stricken areas. You find there's a disaster, how people come in to help. How the church comes in, how people in the mosque come in, how we see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, should the corporate want then to chime in? By all means, they should. But some of these individuals in the community also belong to these corporates, and they would know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope they do come through, make his Christmas big. Apart from him being healed, man umse ata sijui watafanya nini familia yake. Page 6, graft war, how billions are being looted in the counties. And I know CT you have words to say about this particular story.
Bro.
Yeah.
Yani you've dived right into it.
But najua CT, and I like what you say about counties, especially the fact that they need to be accountable and we need to hold them to account. So EACC reveals how billions are looted from counties' coffers. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has lifted the lid on how billions of shillings are being looted through elaborate corruption schemes in county governments. This comes as the commission confirmed receipt of 288 graft-related cases in the counties from the Senate for investigation of the past 3 years.
I'm listening.
3 years.
Let me tell you something.
I hope they started some of these cases.
You know, the incompetence that you find within our counties is multifaceted. The whole thinking behind thievery is that you should not be found or caught out, or people who shouldn't know. That they would have an idea that something's wrong, but they can't pinpoint it.
Yes.
But decisions of ours, my friend, it's just a question of leaving breadcrumbs. They leave loaves. They are pinpointed so with minimum ease. It's like they don't even try to be clever about the thievery.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging people to steal, but the whole point of stealing is so that you're not caught. But when you leave a track record, you will be caught. And we will even know who you are, we will even know what you've done. And then when it is pointed out that it is you, the individual, then you're being witch hunted. Because your name now appears in the papers, it is spoken of.
You've been mentioned adversely.
Yes, and your children now have to put up with it in school because somebody will pick it up and your children will be informed about their parent and what their parent has done. Okay?
Yeah.
So that child has been introduced to trauma that they're going to carry around with them for a very long time. What I find strange, and I'm grateful that we have, that we devolved our economy.
Yes.
But let me tell you what I find strange.
Yeah.
The spirit of complaining when there was only a national government, all ills were in the national government. We are good at phrasing things, and we have spoken about how we have devolved corruption. And then we've sat and accepted as though it's now a given and we should just live by it because we have devolved it. But the purpose for which devolution was actually put in place was so that at a very local level, people who ordinarily would have been forgotten would have their interests taken care of by people who belong to their community. That was the thinking.
Yeah.
The devolution of corruption, as we call it, doesn't paint the gory picture of what it does. You find individuals who prior to devolution may have been just hard-working citizens, but because of the culture that has grown over time,
Yeah.
the people for whom devolution was crafted are not better off, they are poorer. When we look at the essential growth patterns of this country and we talk about a middle class, you talk about a people who have certain consumption habits. And those consumption habits are measured in the immediate time because they are liquid and they can do so. And a lot of that money that they have are not money that they have acquired by doing business, but it's money that has been pilfered from the county system. And the reason why it is easy for them to pilfer is because they see what the governor and their people who are around them do. So that is an open passageway to other people now copying what they do. So now, instead of county governments being the pillars or being the foundation of the growth of this country, they are now the structures that guarantee that we are going to continue rotting in this vicious cycle of poverty, because billions are sent, billions are spent, but their billions do not find route to where they were supposed to be. Because if they did, in the 13 years that we have been devolved, 13, what would have happened by now? We would have been talking about amazing things in counties. By the way, amazing things have happened. Those are not the things I'm talking about. You find ways of misappropriating money, then you build a hotel. The hotel wasn't there before, and it's a good thing. What I'm talking about is ensuring that the economic points within that particular ecosystem, eco-economy, that could have generated more business and more wealth. If that had increased, my friend, even the visits to your hotel would have been greater. The money you'd be making, because the people of your county would have had more money to spend. That's what happens when an economy grows. Why do you think economies that rely on credit for everything seem to be thriving? Because at your fingertips you can always afford. But it's on credit. So people are constantly buying. So it makes sense to constantly produce. Now, ours is tragic because the people who are impoverishing you are not some far-flung people somewhere in Nairobi. No. It's your people. Your people. From your backyard. And probably your relatives. They're the ones who are impoverishing you. So these are people who clearly do not seem to think that people deserve to live better lives. That people deserve to look at life differently. That they must continue wallowing in that same poverty. Now, this unfortunately is the story of our counties. The little development that is done does not mirror the amount of money that have been spent, unfortunately. Or even that, it does not in any way. Yes.
Perhaps we shall improve this in the future and with coming governors.
All we want. It's something we have to deliberately make up our mind that we want to do. This is one of those. This isn't a religious crusade where hope is in abundance. No.
Action has to be taken.
Yes, exactly. Action has to be in abundance.
Commercial surrogacy banned in Kenya as bill heads to Senate. You remember we read this story?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Members of the National Assembly have banned commercial surrogacy in the country even as they pass the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill of 2022. Commercial surrogacy is an arrangement where a woman is paid a fee for carrying a pregnancy and giving birth for intended parents. The bill, sponsored by Suba North MP Millie Odhiambo, now goes to the Senate for consideration. And the bill that gives infertile couples a chance to have a child was approved with amendments by Homa Bay Town MP Opondo Kaluma. The bill that gives infertile couples a chance to have a couple was approved with amendments by Homa Bay Town MP Opondo Kaluma. Now, the Homa Bay MP disclosed that the proposed legislation, in its initial wording, was giving an avenue for homosexuals to create children through commercial surrogacy. The products of such process, he noted, exposes children to dangers of pedophilia, organ harvesting, and research on human body. The bill was amended to expressly prohibit commercial surrogacy, Kaluma told the press at Parliament buildings. The bill, however, allowed for altruistic surrogacy only for Kenyan heterosexual couples or women, whether divorced, widowed or single, who are certified by an assisted reproductive technology expert to be infertile or incapable of natural conception. What if there's a lady who just doesn't want to carry pregnancy?
Adopt a child.
Shouldn't they get a chance to have children, have their ovary, their ovum or their ova harvested, and then an embryo is created through artificial your word, in vitro fertilization. Yes, that's the word. And then ipatiwe mtu mwingine, because we are living in that age now, and there are people who want that option. It is happening in the United States of America. There's this lady, she's a celebrity socialite. She's called Kim Kardashian. Perhaps you know of her, or you have heard of her. Kim Kardashian alilipa mtu ambebe mimba, but the embryo, the egg and the seed were from her and the husband, and she paid someone to carry her embryo, and mtoto akazaliwa. Shouldn't other women around the world, specifically here in Kenya, because
what was wrong with her system, a reproductive
Kim Kardashian?
System? Yes,
absolutely nothing. The reason she did this is because, number one, she wants to maintain a certain image, her body, and alikuwa anaona akipata mimba hiyo mwili, of course kuna venye huwa inanona, alafu the recovery process, and she uses her body to make money.
Ataki kwenda gym. She
uses her body and her image to make money. All right, because she's called to parties, and when she goes to those parties, she will party hard, for lack of a better word. Yeah, atatumia mvinyo na mwili wa mtu ambaye ananyonyesha ama mwenye akona mimba. You can't take that. So when you subject her to a 9-month pregnancy and then another probably several months of recovery after that, she's losing revenue. Yep. Let me give you another example of someone who can lose revenue here in Kenya. A practical example: an athlete. Let's take one of our very many athletes and say she's looking forward to a very important marathon. Could be the London Marathon, Berlin, or whatever. And she's expecting millions from if she won that particular marathon. But if she's pregnant for that period of her pregnancy, she's unable to attend that marathon. She's unable to earn money from her profession because that's the only thing she does. So I believe such a woman should, if she so wished, because our at least our Kenyan athletes, they are wako tu sawa. They don't mind carrying pregnancies.
Precisely, you have preempted what I was about to tell you.
Yes.
And they go through that period and go back and win.
Now, yes, they actually do win. Well, even after carrying several
yes, not even one. Yes,
several pregnancies.
Yeah, so your story.
Lakini ninauliza tu CT. Ninauliza kunaweza tokezea wenye wako hapa saizi au tusiwaongelele because hao kuna maisha yao tofauti. Lakini kuna wenye wanazaliwa saizi. Na perhaps in future, if this law will still be applicable, she might want to still have a family but still be able to continue with her career.
The problem is not the law. The problem is the public participation around it.
Yes.
Because it's an extremely important and sensitive subject.
Yes.
That should have been prolonged.
Right.
People should have been heard more.
I also know of women who would like to bear children, but they are afraid of the childbearing process. They are afraid of, first of all, even just carrying the pregnancy because of the horror stories they've had. Oh, morning sickness. Oh, there's the possibility of anemia. Oh, there's that diabetes, gestational diabetes. So they've had all these horror stories, and they're like, hey, mimi kidogo kukari pregnancy sitaki. But they honestly want to have biological children.
That's why I said it's a sensitive issue. And the issues that you mention would have formed part of the conversation if you have public participation.
There's a viewer here, Sonet another movie really referencing the Kardashians. Unfortunately, I interact with these videos and I can't help but watch them. But yes.
No. The example you give is a good one.
Yes.
Because it highlights an aspect that is key to this discussion. The rights of individuals.
Yeah, true.
And
true.
the reference point to a country where the rights are spoken of a great deal more than probably many other countries in the world. It makes for, now we have similar rights. We have a Bill of Rights in this country.
Yeah.
We have reproductive rights in this country.
Yes, we do.
But these are things that need to be aired out. People need to talk. This thing of public participation, which people in the political realm like to sort of like shortcut and speed up, it's not a sprint. What is the problem if you discuss this thing until next year?
Okay.
Where is the problem? We've seen, we've known, we've heard, but now it's going to be a discussion. And this thing is going to end up in court.
You think so?
Look, something this serious, there'll be somebody who will read that thing and say, no. Apart from my rights being infringed on, where was the public participation? I remember when there was a certain senator, a nominated senator, of the Wiper Party, she championed issues around reproductive health, Sylvia, and she championed them vociferously over time. You got to hear what she was talking about. She went and spoke. Kasanga Sylvia was her name. And she spoke about them, and people heard, You couldn't pretend that you had not heard. Okay? Now, by the time this thing becomes law, again, you cannot say you did not hear. And the opportunity to talk about it was provided. Anything that relates to something this sensitive cannot just be some other law. No. It has to be given a lot more time for people to digest, to think. Surrogacy itself is not even understood by very many people.
True.
Okay? Now you look at all the issues around surrogacy. How long it's been in Kenya. I came across this thing over 20 years ago. Okay? Some people are coming across it now. The commercial element I understand as well. And the reasons behind it. It's a discussion that is very similar to a discussion around polygamy.
In places like the US, man, it's a booming business.
It would be a booming business because these discussions around why it should be and why not have been discussed and had, and laws have been amended, laws have been created over time. That's why they're where they are. Stem cell research, for instance, is a big issue for many people.
Oh, it's an ethical issue.
Precisely. Just like abortion has been a big issue. See, these are issues that come up and you want people to discuss, not so that they can just air their views, but that's so that they can also listen to other people's views on the same subject.
Yeah.
Roe versus Roe. What do you think they were discussing? What do you think was the issue? Because these are the building blocks around which the discussions around some of these subjects were raised.
Abortion rights and
yes,
so on and so forth.
People talk about First Amendment in America. Someone's right to bear arms. Now, they're always debating about it. Which arms? Which ones? The semi-automatic? It's a constant debate, but that debate is necessary. So that people who don't understand about these arms will understand it better. The dangers around them will be understood better. And those who are lobbying for them, those who are against it, all these discussions are important. And when they go to court, so much the better. Because then our constitution is being stretched and the citizenry gets to understand a little bit more about the constitution, more than they would have if there were no issues being raised.
Okay. Hiyo ni story ingine tricky mtu wangu. When we get to the point of where we have to discuss human life and actually what you've mentioned about stem cell research. You see, stem cell
research
is a very, if you get to understand just the fundamentals of it and what you can actually do with a stem cell, You know, with a stem cell, you can literally create any part of the body, from an eye to the nose to a broken limb to the liver to the heart to the lungs. Basically, every time you would need a transplant, for example, instead of having to wait for a donor who in most cases would have to die, especially for things like the heart, because no one can live without a heart. So for you to get a heart transplant, for example, that means someone has got to die. And most times a heart comes also together with the lungs, because it's an interconnected organ.
What goes ecosystem the same?
Yeah.
Same WhatsApp group.
Exactly. So unapatanga, and it's one of those complicated situations. But with stem cell, you can actually grow a heart from scratch, grow lungs from scratch, and have them implanted. Now the problem usually is some of these stem cells that are used are embryos. That is where shida inaingianga. Juu mtu anaulizanga, first of all, ni embryo ya nani mnatumia?
Yes, essentially, umeua huyo mtu.
Yes.
So
now that's where the ethical question comes in.
Yes. It must come in.
Yes. So number one, who has donated this embryo? Because again, an embryo is, like we said, a seed that has fertilized an egg.
That's living.
Exactly.
And if you terminate that life, umeiua.
Yes. So for you to determine whether this particular embryo is going to become a liver, is going to become an eye, is going to become whatever it is that you want to grow, hapo ndio tashishwi iko.
You see, that discussion has to be had. And whenever, if you look at the Nuremberg trials, one of the things that the scientists who were then in that German government were accused of is extending the boundaries of medical research and using the most unethical methods. Research ethics as we know it today, and the thinking around it now emanated from the Nuremberg trials. What came up, people realized, no, we need a set of rules as to how, whenever you're involving human lives in biomedical research, what you need to do.
You remember the Tuskegee one as well.
Oh, yeah, but maze. Bwana.
Infecting people with syphilis.
Bro, decades. See, 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
Yes, for over several decades.
Yes, and you do not give them treatment.
And you don't even tell them
that they have syphilis.
That you're giving them syphilis.
The cases that are cited with reference to research, some are gory, some are utterly bizarre.
Right.
In the name of research. Okay?
Yes.
Now, it's because of such things and the discussions around that people are afraid. When you talk about something and they don't fully understand, no. Why do you think people have issues with GMO?
Genetically modified organizations also a very big question. However, I feel like people have not understood. We do not educate the public enough. And when I say we, I mean scientists.
Scientists very rarely do. We talk to ourselves.
We publish papers.
We talk to ourselves,
hoping that someone will read them.
Peer review.
Peers will read. Of course, they will be reviewed by our peers.
That's what I'm saying. And when that happens, we are good. Then when we publish, we are even better. But as to now, the people who end up consuming it,
bas, talking to that shosho in Ushago, or that grandfather in Shags, or even that person who is in the streets who didn't know or do science.
Let me tell you, there are conversations that must be had and understood.
Yeah.
You go to a shop and you buy Panadol. Nobody tells you of the process that was taken to produce that thing you buy so easily.
The research that was done.
Yes.
To produce.
To determine that this thing is not harmful to you. That one. Now, that, unfortunately, would never happen if there were no ethical concerns or if ethical boundaries were not adhered to.
And you know, the question also around ethics is on animal testing. People are now saying that you shouldn't test this on animals because animals have not given you their consent. So you infecting...
so what should we do? Test upon plants?
When I was doing my undergraduate, I remember there's this time we were dissecting rats. But for you to dissect that rat, you had to kill it.
Yes. I'm being facetious deliberately because I want to know how would you get consent from this rat, just so that we understand.
You see, that's the thing. And most of our rats were lab grown. They were just like mated and grown and bred in the lab for
the purposes
of science. And killing that animal, by the way, is not as you don't just get it and then punch it and then it dies, or you stab it with a knife and then it does. You suffocate it.
Have you ever slaughtered a chicken?
I have never.
Well, people like I who grew up
slaughtering them.
chicken. In fact, the chicken were alive.
Yes.
So when you wanted to eat chicken, you went and picked one and slaughtered it. So it's not as though you went to the supermarket and bought it.
Yeah.
When you went shags and there was a ceremony, as we ate sheep, or if there were many people, a cow, it was killed. So you got to know how to slaughter, how to skin. You got to know. So for us, the issue of killing an animal is not something that bothers my head.
Yes.
No.
But you see, now in the lab, you gas it.
You see,
you gas it with chloroform, then it passes out. Then in that process of when it's passed out, you do the thing.
You see, my friend, the West have expounded and expanded the boundaries of ethical reasoning. Okay? We know, for instance, in this country, you keep dogs. People nowadays buy dog food and things like that, but by and large, they are given food that were left over. How then do you get to have a discussion about pets with the people who have specific shops where they go and buy clothes for pets, including sunglasses?
Hapo ndio shida iko.
Yes, because I may not say it, but I'll be wondering, hey, Chief,
kidogo iko tashwishwi.
Precisely. Now, you see, that's the extent to which their freedoms have gotten them into. Back to the subject of surrogacy.
Yeah.
You see, we had a solution for it. If there is a problem and it appears that the lady has challenges, you acquired a second wife. And usually, traditionally, the wife is the one who would sort of like. But there are traditions that I know of where before that happened, you've been married for a year, there's no issue. I told you the story, you're sent on a long journey.
Unaambiwa enda tumekutuma huko Wajia.
Umetumwa? Yes. So, if that didn't work, then it was realized the problem was the lady. Yes. Somebody else would now be brought in.
Now this is a female.
Female? Yes. There are communities where the female was brought in. The children were never hers. The children were of the person who brought them. So, to make our Western relatives understand, the wife was then now considered the husband of this new lady because she's the one who brought this person. Their task is not necessarily to be a wife, but to be a bearer of children.
I experienced something similar in. I witnessed, not experienced, but witnessed. In your neck of the woods.
I was thinking you're going to tell me you experienced it in your previous life. But go on.
Kuna mali nilitumwa nikaenda Wajia.
Yes.
No. I met a family. It's actually a very prominent family within the Luo community. So when I visited them, so this friend of mine told me, "Oh, this is my mom and this is my stepmom."
We don't have stepmoms. Ni mama mdogo.
Ndio sasa ndio na explainia audience. And so nikamuuliza, so how did this happen? Because their father had already passed. So how did this happen? And they live in the same compound, man, and they are very good friends.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, this is actually wow.
Yes.
So nikamuuliza, so how did this happen? Akaniambia it's mama mkubwa mwenye alileta the niece.
Yes.
Family. Like mama mkubwa alienda akatafuta niece wake.
Yes.
Na akamwambia, come, I want you to be
Yes,
I want you to be my husband's wife, second wife. And then that, of course, he didn't really give me details, but that is how it happened. So I was like, wow.
Yes. It was very common.
Yeah.
It was very, very common. So you'd find, for instance, they would bring their cousins or they would bring their
nieces.
Part of the thing is this: you couldn't marry many wives if you're not wealthy. Wealth was measured in cows. So part of it was logic. You did not want the wealth to go elsewhere, so you kept it within the woman.
Within
now.
the family, yeah.
Within your own family, you bring your cousin, you bring your niece. It's your own ecosystem. Yes.
Bana, watu wa kitambo walikuanga na akili. They had wisdom.
They did. They understood. And the first wife was the boss. I grew up in a family that was polygamous, so I know.
Yeah.
And polygamy is normalized when you grow up and you find your grandmother's co-wives coming to visit her and staying for a week.
I saw that with my grandmother.
Yeah. So when someone tells you polygamy is bad, you think, I'm not so sure.
I interact with my uncles and aunties from those sides and now my own cousins who we come from now. Those, the different
branches of, yes.
But then ukituangalia tunafanana sisi wote. Nikikwambia this is from that grandmother, you'll be like, no. My grandfather had very strong genes.
Yes. How many wives did he have?
4, 3 official, and then
No,
kuna mwenye. So let's just say 4. Perhaps there were more.
That he did. He,
Big shout out to the original Mr. Mungala. I am named after him. Anyway, we have come to the end of this hour, taking a short break. In the next hour, we shall be having a discussion with with a guest or two. So do stick around to find out what that is all about. Right now, though, here is the news with one Winnie Maganga.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The National Assembly has passed the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill 2022. The proposed legislation is Kenya's first comprehensive legal framework governing fertility treatments, surrogacy, and reproductive health services. The bill seeks to safeguard ethical practices, protect the rights of parents, surrogates, and children, and outlaw commercial surrogacy and other exploitative agreements. The bill is sponsored by Suba North MP Millie Odhiambo.
Mr. Speaker, this bill was before the House last week. Honorable Kaluma was not around. I was around. The committee, we sat before the committee. We agreed on some issues. We did not agree on some issues. For those who are in the House last week, even my own amendments, or even the ones opposed against the committee, passed against my wish. But it's not a matter of life and death, even if the things I wanted didn't pass. Mr. Speaker, this is Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill. It is not the bill that is being used to take people to heaven.
The Kenyan government says the body of John Ogutu, a Kenyan teacher who was shot dead during post-election violence in Tanzania, is yet to be found. According to Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Ogutu was killed at Goba Center in Ubungo District, Dar es Salaam. 8 other Kenyans who had been arrested and detained in various police stations across Tanzania have since been released.
8 Kenyans arrested in different police stations across Tanzania have now been released. 3 Kenyans are still being held, 2 in Arusha and 1 in Dar es Salaam police station. A Kenyan by the name John Ogutu was shot dead on 29th October at around 7 p.m. in Goba Center, Ubungo District in Dar es Salaam. His body has not been traced to date.
Meanwhile, the CS says more than 200 Kenyans may have joined the Russian military since the start of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine in 2022. Mudavadi said the ministry has continued to receive inquiries from families regarding relatives allegedly involved in the conflict.
It is estimated that recruitment networks are still active in both Kenya and Russia. The Kenyan embassy in Moscow has reported injuries among nationals and others stranded.
Kenya is partnering with global accreditation bodies to help remove barriers to trade and investment. The Kenya Accreditation Service says it has signed several agreements with other countries to strengthen conformity assessment and align local standards with international benchmarks. Kenya's CEO Walter Ongeti says the lack of harmonized standards continues to hinder trade across Africa and is urging the African Union to work together to unlock the continent's full trade potential.
So this memorandum of understanding is to be able to share knowledge together, to also have technical exchanges from time to time, and also to improve in the methods within which we undertake our assessments.
A deadly car burst in a busy area of India's capital city, Delhi, was a terror incident. The country's government has said at least 8 people were killed and 20 more injured in the explosion near the city's historic Red Fort on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cabinet condemned the attack at a security meeting late on Wednesday, saying it was a cowardly act carried out by anti-national forces. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
Sports on Radio Generation.
Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno. Premier League strugglers Wolves have confirmed the appointment of Rob Edwards as their new head coach on a 3.5-year contract. Edwards has left Championship club Middlesbrough and replaces Vitor Pereira, who was sacked by Wolves earlier this month. The 42-year-old, who managed Luton in the Premier League, faces a huge task to extend Wolves' 8-year stay in the top flight. Wolves have taken just 2 points from their opening 11 league games, losing 9 times to sink to the bottom of the EPL. Yannick Sinner drove Zverev to destruction with a composed performance to reach the knockout stages of the ATP finals. The Italian second seed maintained his bid for the year-end world number 1 ranking with a 6-4, 6-3 win over third seed Zverev. Sinner saved all 7 breakpoints he faced with his immense serve, with one ace leaving his 28-year-old German opponent biting his racket in frustration. The 4-time major champion is the first player to reach the semi-finals in Turin. And that's the truth on sports. I'm Samuel Otieno.
Sports on Radio Generation. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Good morning and welcome back. It is now 6 minutes past 8 o'clock. My name is Mungala Mbuvi and this is the People's Breakfast, Radio Generation on 88.8 FM and 90.7 in Mombasa. How are you doing? I hope you also tuned in across all our other, what are they called, platforms. For example, on YouTube, it's at Radio Generation Kenya. There you'll get to watch us live and also get to interact via the live chat option. Right now, though, we want to talk about giraffes and their translocation, as we have been rightly educated here, and we shall be letting you know the difference between translocation and relocation. With us is the CEO of Northeastern Wildlife Conservancies Association, NECA, Shamake Mohammed Sheikh. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Mbuvi.
Right. Maybe you can let us know a little bit about NECA, that is the Northeastern Conservancies Association.
Yes. NECA, as you've rightly said, stands for Northeastern Wildlife Conservancies Association. This is an umbrella association of all the conservancies, wildlife conservancies in the northeastern part of Kenya, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera. And we're here to advocate for wildlife. We're here to educate our community about the importance of wildlife and, of course, highlight the challenges and also the opportunities in wildlife conservation for both our community and Kenyans at large.
What are some of the main attractions as far as the northeastern region is concerned, animal-wise? Do we have buffaloes? Do we have giraffes, lions? When we come there, what are some of the main attractions we can see?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. We have everything, and we have some extra. Northeastern, a lot of people don't know, has a lot of wildlife. According to the last wildlife census in 2021, Garissa is the 4th largest in Kenya in terms of wildlife population.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And Kenyans don't know that. And Wajir is not far behind. It's number 7. So when you look at Kenya, the highest concentration of wildlife, you go Pandea Masai Mara. Then you go to Pandea Amboseli, Laikipia, then Garissa. Wajir iko number 7, and Mandera is not far behind. So the entire region has a lot of wildlife, all the wildlife and some extra. The extra that we have there are the gravy zebras. Na tuko na pia kitu inaitwa hirola. Hirola. It's a type of antelope. Rare species in the world. Imebaki maybe about 400, 500. Yes. They're only found in Garissa. Yes. And few that were translocated kitambo in Savo, lakini hizo ziko under a lot of pressure na zimebaki tu chache, lakini if you want to go and see the Hirola antelope, zinapatikana dunia mzima Garissa peke yake. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. And you see, I'm getting educated by the minute.
Yes.
Okay, so for example, and you've said we have a few of these reserves or game parks, for example.
Oh, yes.
You've mentioned Masai Mara,
Yes.
Amboseli, Savo. Hizo ndizo watu wanajua.
Yes.
Garissa, that northeastern region, if we want to visit a reserve or a game park, where are we coming to?
Okay, so let me just kwanza take you back a bit and tell you about the wildlife and how it relates to us. In the entire sort of Eastern Africa and Horn of Africa, in terms of species-wise, biologically, the species huku range yake inaitwa Somali Masai biome. So what does it mean? The giraffe that you see upande ya Masai Mara ama Southern Kenya yote mpaka Tanzania, this is the Masai biome or the Masai area. Easy wildlife, it doesn't mean it belongs to the Masai, it belongs to everybody, but it just means the Masai, the giraffe that you see here inaitwa Masai giraffe. The one that you see up in the north, as soon as you cross Nyanyuki, inaitwa Somali giraffe. Masai ostrich, Somali ostrich. Out of these species, kuanzia Tanzania nasema mpaka Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, Horn of Africa region yote iko categorized hivyo. Now we have the gerenux type of antelopes. We have hizo gravy zebras that you see in the north. The south huku inaitwa common zebras. And then you have like the hirola and the extra wildlife. That is only found in some regions. Of course, Kenya iko na unique wildlife different places. Sasa sisi huko kwetu waweza kuona hiyo Somali giraffe. Hizo gravy zebras in Garissa. Waweza kuona hizi buffaloes, lions, cheetahs. Now because conservation yetu haijakuwa kama Masai Mara ama Amboseli, it has not been institutionalized. In fact, we've been institutionally discriminated, ecologically speaking. The government has never put a lot of resources before. And partners, conservation partners have never been in that place. So it's the communities that have been hosting and living with this wildlife, and they are of course under a lot of pressure, like everywhere else in Kenya. And these wildlife ambao sahi tuko nao kule, they actually live within community conservancies. We have some reserves and parks. We have one national park gazetted in Mandera, inaitwa Malkamari National Park. But it's a paper park. That means hakuna mtu anaenda kuvisit because the government has never, KWS has never invested properly in that park.
But we have KWS officers at the very least.
Yeah, we have them in Mandera, but very minimal presence. No investment. Nothing. It's just a paper. It exists on paper. Actually, the park is under a lot of pressure. It's been encroached by communities because there isn't much happening. And then Garissa, we had 3 reserves. Reserves, come under the counties. Or the county councils, as they used to be called.
Why?
Zamani. Yeah.
Why do they come under the county?
The reserves, that is the designation. So you have national parks. All the national parks in Kenya are managed by the national government through KWS. And then Masai Mara is not a national park. It's a national reserve. So it comes under Narok County. Yes. And Amboseli was a national park until few days ago, it was reverted back to the county. So now it will be a national reserve. And then in Kenya, you have now community conservancies.
So what role does KWS have in these national reserves?
To protect, they still have the overall mandate of protecting wildlife. Everything they do it, of course, on behalf of Kenyans. So they will still be protecting wildlife even in the reserve. They'll still have a lot of presence, but they will not be running the Amboseli. It will now come directly under the
county government.
The people of Kajiado through the county.
So it's KWS. It's more or less similar like what we have in terms of their administration police.
Yes.
Them, they're under the county command, but they're still under the National Police Service.
So, but yes, KWS is run from here. So what we have in Northeastern now is we have those opportunities. Unfortunately, we don't have. Garissa is the only county in Kenya with 3 gazetted reserves, but all of them now are also not functioning. We have Rahole.
Do they have animals?
Yes, they have. But depending on which park or which reserve you go
what
to.
I don't understand is there were national parks that have now become reserves.
Yes.
Northeastern have reserves.
Yes.
Have they at any time been game parks? Have they at any time been under the government?
Only one, which is Malkamari.
Why I ask the question is because it appears from the examples that I've just heard that when you have an animal sanctuary that has been under the government, there are advantages that accrue from the government investment. So when it is returned to the community, like Amboseli, it's returned with those advantages.
Yes.
And if the government has never invested in it, then of course, even if it is given to the community, the advantages that the previous ones that the others have, they will not have.
That is true. That is true.
So what does the community need to do for the government to invest in it?
So now, okay, it's a good question. The community, I don't know if you're aware, but first, most of the wildlife, most of the times in Kenya, live in community areas, not even in the national parks. So the communities bear the brunt of hosting and living, coexisting with this wildlife. So when you talk about national park versus the national reserves, it is the mode of management. Who manages them? The parks are managed by the government, and depending on where the park is, they invest. If it is under the county government or the former county councils, it's called a national reserve. Now, unfortunately, how we started as a country, tourism is the main driver of conservation in Kenya. So people are conserving for the tourists. I don't know if you understand that. And the communities that were not hosting or not getting tourism were left out in terms of resource allocation, and that would include these reserves in northern Kenya, especially Garissa and the Malkamari National Park in Mandera. No tourist was visiting, so the government did not invest in those reserves, in those national parks. And it is zero. Hakuna kitu. Wildlife ziko, the communities have coexisted. They bore the brunt of coexisting with wildlife because there is a cost to it. As pastoralists, most of the wildlife lives within communities who are either mainly pastoralist communities. So, of course, there is the issue of predation and so on. So they were left out, and the government did not invest. And the old county councils were not sort of resourced properly for them to invest. But at some stage, in Garissa, we have Arawale, we have Boni Reserve, and we have, there is a third one, Arawale, there is Boni and Rahole. National reserves. The only county with 3 reserves, but right now they're also paper reserves. Nothing happening.
So let me ask, you see the way we see things happening in Amboseli, for example, or Masai Mara, or even Savo, where you go, kuna gate, lipa, ingia ndani, zunguka, and then you'll find a hotel in there, probably Sarova, whoever, stay there for a couple of days, do game drives. Can I do that in Rahole, for example?
No, you can't. There is nothing.
There's no hotel.
There is no hotel. Okay, there is hotel in Garissa.
Okay.
But there is no other,
in the park.
In the park, nothing. Nothing. There isn't even KWS is not even present there.
Is there a gate I can?
They've abandoned. They've abandoned.
So what hakuna gate I can come and pay get in? Nothing.
Nothing. Nobody. And that is that is the reason why I'm here. We've been abandoned. Institutionally, ecologically discriminated in Northeastern, despite hosting a lot of these wildlife. If you go there, you'll find hundreds of bird species. When visitors come, wanashangaa giraffe hizi matwiga zinatembea ndani ya manyumba za watu. And here you go to Giraffe Center and other good places
to see these
animals and pay. Sisi our communities hawajakuwa empowered kujaribu kuangalia ni nini wanaweza faidika naye hiyo, and they would have been.
And the conversations with county governments, the leaders, the governors,
yes,
are there even departments that are remotely related to conservancy?
Yes, in the entire region we have Garissa and Wajir as being the most proactive counties with wildlife departments within their county government structures. Garissa is actually the best right now as we talk. Of course, this depends on who's the governor at any given time. But I've been very impressed by the governor of Garissa, who's been very proactive. And in fact, he's been very supportive of conservation. Wajir, to some extent, the previous governor was very, very active within wildlife conservation. The current governor, unfortunately, isn't, but there is a wildlife department within his county government, and this was mainly inherited from the previous governor, who was very, very supportive. But yes, some of the governors, some of the leaders do support conservation. Unfortunately, most of them do not. They don't even understand the importance of wildlife conservation for their communities. And we're trying to advocate and tell them we're pastoralists. Our environment matters a lot to our community. If there is degradation, our communities, of course, suffer because they're pastoralists. And wildlife conservation impacts them a lot. If, for example, in other places, people have grazing management plans, that means wakati wa kiangazi, they can graze here and, get their water easily here. A lot of positive things of, rangeland management, which includes wildlife conservation, would benefit them. But unfortunately, they're not awake to that, with the exception of, again, few governors. I was very impressed, and I continue to be impressed by the governor of Garissa, His Excellency Nadif Jama. You can say and talk about everything else, but he's very on that issue. He's been very, very awake. And few, MPs, Honorable Ado, who's the Wajir South member of parliament. We have Honorable Kainan from Wajir, from Eldas in constituency in Wajir. He's been very proactive. I mean, if you go to that small town, you find that he understands the importance of environment, and he's supporting. And also the Wajir, the Mandera South member of parliament, very, very supportive. Farah Maalim, very supportive in Dadaab. But unfortunately, the rest of the leadership and the rest of our community's leadership have not yet understood how they can benefit, or how their communities can benefit from this, in terms of both financially, ecologically. If these wildlife, if they disappear from that land, there would be an ecological imbalance.
Does your organization cover Samburu and Marsabit?
No.
Why?
Initially, the way we sort of came together in 2019. At that stage, Northern Rangelands Trust was very active and very, very successful there.
What is Northern Rangelands?
Northern Rangelands Trust is a landscape association similar to NECA. They were very mature. They still exist. They're there, but I understand there's been a lot of challenges with funding. So they're very, very active in that area. And it's an association of all the conservancies also in Samburu and Marsabit, Isiolo, that part, and parts of Laikipia. And they've done a lot of marvelous work, I mean, in terms of conservation. They've taken conservation in northern Kenya to the next level.
You know why I asked the question? Is because you are talking about a part of the country,
yes,
that is massive.
Yes.
The geographical size of that particular part of the country is massive.
Yes.
I've been to that part of the country, so
you know.
Yes, I have fairly reasonably good knowledge of it. What I find strange, though, is this. The communities that we are now talking about, not the ones I've just mentioned, have been responsible for something that should be studied because it's more or less what I call an economic miracle. Are people who are pastoralists, are people who are marginalized deliberately by policy, deliberately.
Yes.
Ignored to the point where by policy development never, if it trickled down, it was more or less by mistake. These are my words.
Yes.
But despite that, the people from those communities have become an economic powerhouse within a very defined period of time. Very defined, noticeably so that you begin to associate members of that community with commerce at a very, very big level. One, it tells me that these communities have an idea and an understanding of how they can pool resources. It also tells me that these people have an idea of how simply to make money. So when you tell me that there's a resource from which money can be made, and this same community that has performed these wonders and tuning into it, I have to ask, what is the matter? Because other people are making money from it. You have a similar resource.
Yes.
And there are all these minds that I have seen at work.
Yes.
And I am being told now that these people don't seem to think that this is something that is important and something that they should concern themselves about. And yet it is a distinct money maker. And with reference to that ecosystem, it is unique.
Yes.
You can't compare it with anything else.
Yes.
Now, tourism thrives on uniqueness.
Yes. Yes.
So what's the problem really?
So the problem is, unfortunately, they didn't understand. And my job now is to try and get them to see the opportunity.
What don't they understand?
They did not see wildlife as a resource. They did not see wildlife as an opportunity to make money.
What did they see wildlife as?
They lived with wildlife, and most of our communities see wildlife as a problem. Predation issues, zinakula ngamia na mbuzi na ng'ombe. They saw it as a problem. I'm here to tell them that it's actually an opportunity.
Let me get this straight.
Yes.
I can just randomly walk and then just meet a lion.
Yes.
That's how crazy it is.
Yes. Hyenas. Yes, unique wildlife.
Hata siwezi shtuka haina sana.
Yes,
Lion is my main
yes,
problem.
Yes. Now you can imagine the land is vast. You know, the entire northeastern region, it's a big, or the entire northern Kenya is half of Kenya. So there is a lot of wildlife.
More than half.
Yes, more than half. So what our people never saw wildlife as a resource. They saw it as a problem. They were mildly tolerant of the other, the giraffes and whatnot. But even that now is becoming a nuisance. And giraffe, unajua zinakuja zikiingia kwa mashamba za watu hapa Garissa. Unajua hii stretch ya Tana River. And it is the only place in Kenya iko na shida. Watu wako na shida na giraffe.
In terms of human wildlife conflict.
Yes, because inaingia kwa nini. Hata tunajaribu kuweka hiyo giraffe, yani ikuwe katika ile schedule ya compensation. Watu wanashangala kwani giraffe inasumbua pia watu. Huko kwetu imejaa to the extent that inatusumbua, lakini wildlife, our people saw it as a problem. Yeah, it's a good problem, and I've been shouting over the rooftops to try and get the government to try now and come or invest. And I'll tell you very honestly that this government, I've been in conservation now for more than 10 years.
Okay.
And this government has been the most proactive government with conservation, especially for northern Kenya.
You mean
Because
the Kenya Kwanza government?
The Kenya Kwanza government.
Okay.
Uhuru's administration did one wonderful thing. They did the first ever wildlife census in 2021. Before that ilikuwa tu ni mastori, watu wanajua yani kwani ziko wapi hizi matwiga. After that ndio watu wakajua ala, kumbe northeastern iko na wanyama. Imagine. And that is the problem.
But you know why that is so?
Yes.
Very few people travel to northeastern.
I know.
Unless they came from there.
I know.
And if they came from there, they had grown up with the wildlife.
Yes.
So for them, there was nothing to talk about.
Exactly. Well, they've grown. They've grown with wildlife. Our poems, our language is based. If you are
even your proverbs,
even the proverbs, like almost all Africans, you know, if you're brave, you're like a lion. You know, if you're cunning, you're like a fox, and if you're strong, like an elephant.
And if you're stupid, you're like.
Okay, I wouldn't say. So in terms of our culture is that, and unfortunately, KWS is not in tandem with the Kenya Kwanza's administration's priorities. KWS is a very good organization, and the reason why we're here today is because of what they've done. The rangers, the officers, brilliant officers. But unfortunately their leadership currently bure kabisa.
Wamefanya nini haswa?
Bure. In KWS headquarters we have these giraffes. They're being poached day and night. Can you imagine? Tuko na hizo majiraffe. According to the last census, we have almost 18,000 giraffes.
Okay.
Almost 14,000. Hii Somali giraffe. Zinaishi northeastern. Zinaishi northeastern. These are very beautiful creatures. Now, zinaishi tuko mstuni within communities. Communities have been very protective of them. When it is drought, wanaipatia maji wakiona yani na struggle. They've been caring for them. Unfortunately, KWS doesn't have presence in northeastern. Wako na station moja main in Garissa, moja main in Wajir, na moja main in Mandera County. 3 stations. Kuna ka satellite kidogo wako na Ijara with few officers. This place should have had more stations than they had in the 90s and 2000s. They closed all the stations and they remained only with this. Now, Wajir County, for example, is 56,000 square kilometers. Now, Wajir town iko right in the middle. Kukitokea issue, it borders 2 countries, Ethiopia on one side na Somalia on the other side. If ikitokea issue of human-wildlife conflict, poaching, KWS are not resourced properly to go and travel for 200-300 kilometers to that station. Labda fuel yake wanapatiwa limited fuel range yani per
they were not included in that statement wa kutumiwa fuel.
Hapana.
Wow.
Hapana kutumia fuel.
Hao ni police peke yake.
Hapa hakuna. So you find that kuna poachers wanatoka wanakuja wanaua giraffe yetu kutoka Somalia, wengine locals wanaua.
What do they kill the giraffe for? I'm curious.
For meat.
Just that. That majestic animal. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Kitoweo. Because at some stage watu wamekuwa very poor. Somali never used to eat these giraffes. You understand? That is how a lot of the pastoralist communities have cultures that sort of hawapendi wale watu wanaua wanyama pori because they understood the importance.
Yes.
That is why we have wildlife in Kenya right now and elsewhere. Now, unfortunately, the opportunistic people walikuja mara ya kwanza alikuja akasema hii kitu ni nyama iko na dawa fulani.
Now, what does it do exactly?
Different.
What they say, of course.
Wanasema ni wengine walikuwa nasemanga yani inasaidia sijui kifua, inasaidia hivi, but they actually didn't understand. They didn't understand that these giraffe, a lot of them were sick. Ndio wa kwanza wanapata magonjwa, zoonotic diseases. If I show you some of the pictures, ziko na ugonjwa. Wanakuja wanapatiwa giraffe ambayo imekufa, wanapelekewa nyama. So this is a problem, poaching, and unfortunately we don't have as many rangers, as many officers as we'd want. We especially in areas with high concentration of wildlife, hakuna protection.
Bwana nikuulize swali. Has your organization taken the time to educate your members of parliament about these matters?
Yes, to an extent.
I think you know exactly where I'm going with this, because this parliament we have is a budget-making parliament.
Yes.
And the resources you speak of have to be budgeted for.
Yes.
Resource allocation is something that we always talk about, but that parliament determines.
That is true.
They determine that allocation, because if you have because wildlife is actually a diminishing resource if it is not looked after with enormous care.
That is true.
And yet it is an extremely unique resource. Now, it defies economic logic if you have a region of the country where there is such a resource and there isn't resource that is being allocated, one, to just conserve it, just to keep it as it is, and then to benefit. It is a resource, just the same resource as if it were gold that had been discovered in some place. Same. But this one is an enduring resource because it attracts people from all over the world. People who long ago had either killed, eaten, or decimated their own wildlife. So the countries where a bat is considered wildlife, a rat is considered wildlife, a squirrel is considered wildlife. So they want to come and see these things. I ask about the MPs because how is it that they cannot see that there's something they can do about this? They actually can.
Yes. Actually they can. But unfortunately, they haven't. Can't do, won't do. They have other priorities, my friend.
I see.
Yes.
I see. This isn't something they consider utterly important.
Yes.
Pity.
They unfortunately don't. A lot of them. Few of them do. But their voices are not yet that loud. And those who are speaking are, of course, tweeting, writing, speaking about it.
Why I talked about Samburu. Samburu has an ecosystem that is not that different.
Yes.
But Samburu has a far more developed ecosystem when it comes to wildlife conservation and what we are now referring to.
That is true.
The whole management.
That is true. Actually, the entire Samburu County is made up of community conservancies.
Yes.
And this is what we're trying to tell our leaders, our government. If people see the importance of wildlife, coexisting with wildlife, the benefits of coexisting with wildlife, they're compensated quickly if there is predation, if they see tourist dollars and money, and if they see other benefits, ecologically speaking, grazing management plans and whatnot, they would now demand that also from their leaders to sort of talk. So I am in a position where I'm starting from not ground zero, ground minus 50. You understand? I'm starting with a lot of negativity within our communities. The first time when I started conservation, and I said, let's protect our wildlife. And some elders came to me and said, Charmaki, are you serious? You want us to look after lions? One just killed my camel. And, he's got no hope of ever getting any compensation. And that is what brings us now to this translocation row with... We've been shouting for KWS to come and protect. If you look at my tweets, my posts, my write-ups, we've been shouting. We've sat with the current Director General of KWS many times, with the government, asking them to come and help us protect these species. Now, what they cited, unfortunately, they took, instead of protecting our giraffes there, we had 2 orphaned giraffes. And, the communities, our communities saved them. Their mothers were killed at different times. So the communities saved those very young, days old giraffes and cared for them when they were each more than a year plus old. We advised KWS to go and pick it, which fortunately they did. Now, they looked after it within their camp. And these giraffes zile zinaanza kuwa kubwa, instead of having now a proper release plan back into the landscape, we have Wajir Giraffe Sanctuary, Garissa Giraffe Sanctuary that can also take care of them. Instead of empowering our communities, they just decided to pluck these 2 young giraffes without involving and telling anybody.
And taking them somewhere else.
To a private sanctuary, God knows where, but they said in Nanyuki.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking of that road. Once you leave Nanyuki and you start heading northwards, long windy road, which now is very passable now beautifully.
Yes.
Not very long ago, it was an absolute and complete nightmare.
Yes.
Kutoka Isiolo kuna shida.
Yes.
Why do I mention this? Anytime something of that sort has happened, because that part of the country was, by virtue of adverse advertising, known to be bandit prone.
Yes.
So anybody who was of a right mind and was in the tourism business would avoid it. But it is strange. They forget that Samburu is just next door. So it might as well be as bandit prone as the others.
Yes.
But people went to Samburu.
Yes.
It's advertising.
Yes.
The very thing that was considered negative on the one side was advertised as being positive. Planes would take people to Samburu. There were no roads that could take you to Ajir, to speak of the road, but not to speak of. Now, how would marketing and how would messaging change all this? And what, bless you, and what has the organization done? Because you're talking about changing the perception that people have of that region to begin with.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
When you go to Wilson, the number of flights that leave Wilson to go to that region every day are very many.
Yes.
In the course of the day.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Means people do go. But how then do we take the step further and move from what we understand as business and commerce to getting people to understand that, this is a holiday destination?
Yes. Yes. Very important step.
Because removing the mindset that is there, that this is a dangerous place to go to. Because that is the problem. When people talk Northeastern, they say, Havana. And yet, nobody asks the question, for this whole year, have you heard of, whole year, I mean it,
Yes.
have you heard of an incident of banditry on that road?
No.
The closest we came to was some gentlemen who crossed the border and were apparently inhabiting some place in Mandera.
Beyond that, nothing.
Me, I'm saying I heard, because that really was it, I heard.
Yes.
Yeah, the governor confirmed though.
I'm talking about myself.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay? Now, how does one get to change the negative perception that people have of that region with regards to tourism, remove their mind from this narrative of a bandit-prone area to a place that you can actually peacefully and safely go and visit?
Actually,
how do you make this possible? Because the sites in that region, some of them are breathtaking,
amazing. I know.
I think to as you answer this, I can just say that some of that weight falls on the community.
That is true.
The community has got to advertise itself and sell itself, and then of course the government has got to put in some effort there.
Akila, you've gone to where I was going, because this month towards the end there is a Somali cultural event that will be at Two Rivers. Samburu County have made a point of having, they've now institutioned a cultural event Samburu cultural
Yes,
event
yes.
that takes place, and they talk about it. I have found that those things have a tendency of pulling people.
Yes.
The Turkanas have something similar. And Turkana is not around the corner, by the way.
It's very far.
Very
Yeah,
far.
yes. And it was just as bandit prone. But it didn't receive as much bad press as Northeastern. Okay? How do you meld and consider what is known to have worked? Like, if you had our Jir Cultural Day and called rotating Somali Cultural Festival, it's going to be in Wajir this year, it's going to be in Mandera. People will attend, it may not be the numbers. When the Camel Derby was started in Maralal, it was not a big thing. Now it's an event.
Yeah, no, it's
When the Lamu Cultural Fair was started, it was not a big thing. Now it's a big thing. So I'm simply saying,
yes,
the things that change the perception of people about a region, how much effort has been put in and how much effort can we put in so that the perception that is there, just like people board the SGR to actually go to Mombasa, people say, actually, I'm going to spend my Easter in Wajir.
Yes.
Over to you, Sharmake.
Yes. Well, thank you. We have, it's a very good point. We have a long way to go. A lot of people think that Northeastern is unsafe, but it is actually one of the safest areas in Kenya. But with negative tags and publicity, the government has done a lot of work in terms of security. And this issue of security has been here for, 10 years? Now, 15 years at most. Before that, Garissa was the safest place in Eastern Central Africa. And it still had no tourists. So the problem is not even safety, it's a perception. It's a closed region. I blame our leaders, our communities, of course. They still have a long way to go. We need to do a lot of work as a community, as the Somali community, to showcase what Northeastern has to show the rest of Kenya. We have a lot of work. And I'm glad to say that, of course, Governor Nadhif Jama held the first Garissa Cultural Day this year. I think, were you aware? Imwaka 2025.
Who held the cultural day?
Nadhif Jama, the governor, His Excellency of Garissa. He did the first in Garissa. What exactly you are talking? Wajir and Mandera still have a long way to go. But we need to expose
I heard
this
about
region.
it.
Yes.
I did.
Yes,
I did.
Good.
Yes. I did.
So it was around May, I think, and it was very big and very attractive. Now we have a long way to go, and that is why again I'm here to talk about something that Kenyans have not heard of: halal tourism. Our region is uniquely placed to offer halal products. What do I mean by halal tourism products? Kenya mnavyojua sana sana ni wazungu wa Chinese wanakuja na wanatakanga watu wakunywe pombe. Sisi Waislamu hatukunywi pombe, hatuli nguruwe. We don't. So what we can offer is hotels that are already 100% halal certified. And now we ask our government to invest in marketing this region in the Middle East, in Asia, to Muslims.
Can we pick this call as we continue the conversation?
Yes.
Aye, so let me take this. Haraka iwezekanavyo. Hello? 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 Ananisikia kweli? Hello? All right, kindly, if you can hear me, just try calling again. All right. Yes, you were saying something, Sharmake Pole. You were saying about the halal tourism
products. We need to market this beautiful. By the way, Kenya is one of the most beautiful countries. Did you know that?
I do know that.
We have everything.
Yeah. We do actually have everything. Let me try taking this.
We even have a government.
Eh. Let me pick this call one more time. Radio Generation, hello.
Good morning. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. Situ umesalimiwa.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Greetings from Mombasa.
Asante sana.
Yes, I listen to you guys every day on 90.7.
Asante.
Yes, I'd like to contribute to the conversation today.
Please do.
Yes, my view, and also maybe the guest can react to what I'm saying, is I don't understand why. Maybe he can tell us why, but from when he started, he hasn't given us a reason why KWS decided to move the giraffes. Because in my opinion, this is akin moving the pandas from South Asia to Africa, and we know they will not survive. So was there a feasibility study that was done to show that, if the giraffes are moved, to a strange habitat, they'll be able to survive? If it was done and they saw that they couldn't, then what was the point of doing this? Because I'm yet to understand. It's something that is very close to my heart, because I know animals take so long to adapt to new environment, and in fact the ones that are moved are not the ones who survive. It's their babies who survive and adapt, given how nature is, right? So my question would be, what is the benefit of this move? Has KWS told us what is the benefit for this? Because if it's about tourism, we can go and see the giraffes wherever they are, no?
Yes.
Right? But other than that, I think NECA is doing a good job, and it's fantastic. They've highlighted this issue. And also it brings to question, are there other moves that have been done of our animals that we don't know of, and then the animals don't survive, and we keep on losing our animals? Right? Other than that, thank you so much. Mombasa kuko sawa, and we hope to see you guys soon in Mombasa.
You will.
Thank you.
Sooner than you think.
Thank you, Njeri. I believe it was Njeri, right?
Yes, it is Njeri.
Okay, when Njeri, thank you. And the unfortunate bit is KWS said that they've removed those 2 orphaned giraffes because of insecurity and drought. And I'm telling them, we have over 14,000 giraffes. Come and take the rest now to a private sanctuary. Because how will these other ones survive? They're abdicating on their responsibility of providing security. They have not told us where they're taking them officially, except that it's in some unknown Nanyuki Range Park, which we don't even know. I don't know if it is new, but it is a private park, and we know the incentive of taking, of course, wildlife to a private park. So nobody has engaged the community of Northeastern, of Wajir, the stakeholders. We were not involved. The KWS warden has got our numbers. He knows the conservationists there. He knows the communities, the leaders. So we don't even know. Nothing was done. We don't even know zitaenda kupelekwa Nyanyuki which area, because kuna area zingine huwezi peleka hii. It will be out of its natural range.
Yes.
And nobody, that is the unfortunate bit, and we're here to condemn that. And si tunataka tu hiyo giraffe irudishwe, ama wakuja chukue yote nyingine 14,000 na the other wildlife wapeleke sasa, waipatie masofa setu kwa Nyanyuki ama ni wapi wanaipeleka. because kama kuna drought, see drought it affect hizi zingine pia ziko all the 14,000. If there is insecurity, what is their job? What is the job? What is the mandate of KWS? KWS, their only job, their only job is security, to protect these wildlife. Now if they're telling us hawezi protect huko, kwani si huko kuna wanyama wengine pia wamebaki na watu.
Shamake, the little that I've seen and understood about the business that revolves around the resource we're referring to as wildlife is the genius of marketing. I'm going to explain what I mean.
Yes.
There's something called a wildebeest migration.
Yes.
I witnessed it myself, so I have an idea. People think it is out of this world. I personally saw animals running around in large numbers.
Yes.
But then this is an old African talking about wild animals. So I shouldn't be taken too seriously.
I know.
I've grown up seeing wildlife all my life, so it's not a big thing. For some people, it is a big thing.
It's a big deal.
And people sell it, and people come specifically. People sell Mount Kenya. People come to climb it.
Of course.
People sell Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
Now, we have an extremely unique product in an extremely unique ecosystem.
Yes.
Nobody is talking about the mountain ranges in that region because they exist. And most people have no idea that they actually exist.
Yes.
All right?
They do.
Nobody's talking about lakes in that region because they think they don't exist, and yet they exist. My mind went to something very interesting. Conflict area tourism. There is a form of tourism that only takes place in places where there are active wars. Active.
Yes.
It's completely high risk, and they're takers. And they're not 2 or 3, they're many. It's called dark tourism, it's called war tourism, but people go there. What I'm doing is, I'm shunting aside the narrative of danger. Because I'm saying there are people who go to places because they are dangerous.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
However, this uniqueness that Northeastern has, and you've pointed us towards halal tourism. How do you hope to make this thing? Because government machinery moves slowly. That's why I started off with the parliamentarians. They move slowly.
Yes, they move.
Understanding it, getting Kenya tourism, but all these bodies that work with tourism, getting them to understand it. All right? Packaging it so that people who sell it even abroad can actually come and see some of the things you're saying, because people like to sell what they know and what they've seen. And this is how these things work.
That is true.
How exactly do you hope to package and sell this thing? Because there's nobody else who has it in the country.
Yes. Well, thank you. That is a very important input. We've been talking to the government, the Ministry of Wildlife and Tourism, and we hope, number one, Kwanzaa, to make them understand, because they're the ones who are responsible for marketing Kenya abroad.
Yes, they
in
are.
the right places.
They are.
Number one.
They are.
Number two is for us now, the job that I'm doing here, to make our communities and our business people understand the opportunities and provide, very good hotels. They're already very good, few hotels, but they're very few. And our community, the minute they see halal tourism money, believe me, sisi ni wa Somali, will take it to the next level. But hiyo bado haijashikana, hiyo tu peke yake, hiyo generator ndio bado ninashindwa kuwasha. Hiyo tu peke yake.
Kuna generator lakini?
Iko generator. Sasa ndio na assemble, fuel ndio tunatafuta sasa.
Okay.
Sasa ndio fuel tunatafuta. Basically, we need to just create that spark and get everybody to understand. I believe our Zungu, they plan for years to come for one trip in their lifetime. They save and plan. Our Arabu niyo pesa petroli yote mosiko huko. So we're telling our government, please, tuwalete our Arabu, our ma-Asian, Malaysian, ma-Indonesian, Waislamu wako wengi huko, billions. Tuwalete huko Kenya.
You know what happens? Because when you want to counter, when you want to make it halal, what will you be offering? Because wanyama,
wako
given.
Good.
To take. Okay, location, take. What else?
Sasa ndio hiyo.
Mukona hot springs. Mukona health. What I'm trying to say is,
yes. Other.
If you're not going to allow me to drink, you must occupy me with something else.
Boss, between Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Marsabit hiyo circuit hiyo yote ya Northern Kenya, Isiolo mpaka imagine Lamu, Mombasa. Just think, the Malindi, kuna 100% halal options nyingi sana.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes, I am. I
I'm looking at the health advertising segment of halal.
Yes.
How halal relates to health.
Yes.
So the tourism has a multiplicity of benefits.
Yes.
hapo ndani ukitoka tourism ukirudi kwenu ya healthier than when you went.
Very good.
Okay? At the same time, whatever somebody else has done elsewhere, wewe pia umefanya. Yes.
So tuweza kufanya hiyo yote and some extra.
Yes.
Lakini it requires a mind shift ya watu wetu, our business people, our government, our institutions, everything has to change.
Sukuma wa MP bwana.
Yes. Munisaidie kwa sukuma. Wao asanteni, wao naangalianga tu ma contract na vitu ndogo kukimbizana na re-election. Sijui 1 term, 2 term, hamna mtu ana time na mambo hii ya wildlife until labda kai, lakini na mambo ya tourism na of course conservation. So
what I can promise you is that as we're open to having these conversations, even panel discussions with your leaders, whether it's the MPs, senators, governors, whoever who needs to sit at the table, so we can have a debate and see how we can move forward.
Yes,
for sure.
No, great.
Thank you so much, Sharmake, for coming through. You've actually taught me a lot of things I didn't know about the conservancy in that area, the wildlife in that area. Of course, I know the animals. But now you've told me more about the human interaction with these particular animals, and where perhaps the bridge needs to be closed as far as realizing the potential of the location is concerned.
Hata sahi nitakwambia kuna another in the whole country, kuna new monkey. Yani okay, kwetu the rest of the people not from Mandera. The latest species imejulikana, kuna new type of baboon zinapatikana Mandera peke yake, Malkamari. Did you know that?
I'm finding out.
This is few.
I didn't even know there were baboons in Mandera. Let's start there.
Malkamari National Park iko a unique different type haipatikani kwingine in that region.
What does this one do that other baboons don't do?
Ziko na kala tofauti. That is your homework. Find out. That is iko na mambo mingi tofauti.
Here's the news with Winnie Maganga.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Police are investigating an incident in which a man in Kirinyaga County was reportedly killed over 50 shillings dead. Jacob Minor is said to have gone to the home of his friend John Washira to demand payment for a job when a fight broke out, resulting in Minor's death from a stab. Residents say the two were longtime friends who worked together as woodcutters. The body of the deceased was taken to Kerugoya Hospital mortuary.
Wamekuwa wakifanya kazi ya kupasua mbao na wamepasua kwa miaka mingi na hawakuwa wamelipwa zile pesa ambao walikuwa wamepasua mbao. Sasa hapo kwa hapo hasira ni ya mwanaume mmoja katikati yao akawa na hasira nyingi kushinda yule mwingine, ndio kwa bahati mbaya alikuwa na panga ya kazi akamkwaruza, kumbe naye anamkwaruza pande ya roho akamuua.
Kubizana ile alikuwa na panga ya kukata nyasi, ndio sio kupenda kwake mwenye kuana, ndio kaja kunisa panga usinisumbue, ndio kumkwaruza, ndio kufa.
Huyo alifanya hivi ikamdunga wapi? Kibahati baya, naye akaanguka akaangukia kisu ikamdunga kwa roho.
Junior secondary school teachers in Kericho County are calling on the Teachers Service Commission to employ more than 20,000 JSS teachers on permanent and pensionable terms. The teachers say many continue to work under uncertain conditions without job security or medical cover. The teachers have warned they will not resume the new academic term without permanent employment contracts.
Today we are here just to remind Teacher Service Commission that there are interns who are employed on internship, the science teachers, that are yet to receive any communication from the commission. Their term of service is coming to an end, and yet there is no one who has told them anything. We want to hear only one voice, and that voice is confirmation of the interns.
We want to ask the government to come clear and tell the Kenyan teachers that the Ministry of Education is saying there is no money.
Counties across Kenya are losing billions of shillings to organized corruption schemes According to revelations by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, over the past 3 years, the Commission has received 288 county-related graft cases from the Senate, exposing deep-rooted financial mismanagement in devolved units. EACC CEO Abdi Mohamud told the Senate's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee that many companies supplying goods and services to the counties are owned by county officers themselves, creating conflict of interest and denying ordinary citizens access to tenders. President Donald Trump has signed a spending bill to reopen the government and end the longest shutdown in U.S. history. He signed the short-term bill into law just hours after the House of Representatives voted 222-209 to approve it on Wednesday night, and 2 days after the Senate narrowly approved the same bill. Speaking in the Oval Office, Trump said the government will now resume normal operations after people were hurt so badly from the 43rd day shutdown.
I want to tell you the country has never been in better shape. We went through this short-term disaster with the Democrats because they thought it would be good politically, and it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. Thank you.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to Radio Generation on 88.8 FM Nairobi. Mombasa, it's 90.7. Watu wa Mombasa, Mwambaji, thank you for tuning in, by the way. Getting lots of feedback from that area and we absolutely love it. In case you'd like to interact with us, kindly find us on our WhatsApp. That is 0116-928-683. Again, it's 0116-928-683. You can also call on that particular WhatsApp number. Like call on WhatsApp. Do not call on the call. Call on WhatsApp. You can always also send a voice note and we shall definitely be happy to indulge. Lakini tafadhali usitume matusi, hiyo kidogo itakuwa ni ngori. Right now though, let me check out who's saying what on our socials before we get into this next conversation. We have Finissimo, good morning. Peter Wanjala, good morning. I see you. Thank you so much for coming through. If you have any questions for our guests, even if they've left, you can let us know. We can always forward them and we can get the feedback that you so much need. In studio, we want to talk about right now about food as a weapon of mass destruction. How that is possible, we shall get to know because we do have a leading expert in food literacy and a medical anthropologist, Njadhi wa Kafui. Or is it Kabui? Karibu tena sana.
Both of them are correct.
They are correct, yeah?
Yes.
Because I understand in Kikuyu, B is F. So
yes,
Kabui
yes.
can be Kafui.
Kafui, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through, Njadhi. Let's talk about, first of all, what medical anthropology is for those who might be encountering this for the first time.
Good. Thank you very much again for hosting me. I'm a big fan of your show.
Thank you.
Especially my brother here from the various places he's been.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
repeat that again so this guy can hear.
I already know.
Yes, it was a pleasure to meet him before the show.
Okay.
Yes. So back to the question,
medical
anthropology.
Yeah.
Medical anthropology is a branch of the field of anthropology that looks at how culture influences your health. Very, very simple.
Okay.
How does your culture, the culture where umetoka, you come from maybe a particular region and a particular culture.
Right.
And because of you have these cultural norms. You believe maybe you should not eat pork, for example.
Yes.
Those are cultural beliefs, right?
Yes, yes.
So how does those cultural beliefs influence your health?
All right. Nice. Now I know. Food as a weapon of mass destruction. The first time I saw that, I was curious.
Yes.
What is food as a weapon of mass destruction?
Yes. Okay.
Or rather, how can food be used as a weapon of mass
destruction? Right. So if you talk about any other kind of weapon, you can talk about maybe clothes, or whatever else you think. The one thing that everybody uses today is food. And if you didn't use food today, we have a crisis. But maybe if I have short pants, I don't have long pants. That's not a crisis.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't travel. There are a lot of people who didn't get in a car to go anywhere. Yeah. There are some
Very
people
true.
who did not listen to any media. They are not listening to any media and such. That's not a crisis. But the one thing that everybody uses is food. So you think about it. If everything had a God, the trees have a God, music has a God, money is a God, which people worship and we know, right? Fashion is a God. The biggest God of all those things would be food, because everybody, however much gold you have, however much money you have, you'll have to use food. So I say this, at least in my theory, that food is the most political thing you'll ever touch in your life. But it's also the most intimate thing that you ever touch in your life. So between the intimacy of food and the politics of food, that's life, okay? So now back to why food is a political weapon of mass destruction. Because if you can control food, then you control everyone. Who can you not control if you control food?
Actually, you're right, because currently even what is happening in Gaza, you can see that one of the main things that is killing lots of people apart from the bombs and the guns is the lack of food.
Yeah. Right? So that's number one. Number two, beyond just the Gaza, this is not the first time. Napoleon said that his army moves on its stomach. How is the army going to fight without food? You can't fight without food, right? The second thing to consider why food is so important. Whenever two countries are fighting, one of the easiest way to immobilize your enemy is to destroy food. So we know back to the days of the Greeks, as far back as we can, that we know it's recorded in history about this system they called scorched earth policy. So if you're fighting against a particular country, go and destroy the food, and then just leave them, and then they're there. Or if Russia did the same thing when they were fighting Germany, you destroy the food and then you move back. So when the army is traveling so far, they don't have anything to eat, and then they starve.
Yeah.
So why food is a very, very potent weapon of mass destruction, on theoretical level.
You're actually right, because also when I read through history, one of the biggest weapons the Roman Empire used was they would come and just camp around you guys, and you couldn't access your farms. So you starve literally to death, or you starve until you submit and you say, okay guys, we give up, can we have some food? You're right.
They call it a siege.
Yeah.
Siege.
Yes, it is. If you look at even just how many wars have been fought, the resource that probably has been at the heart of it is essentially food, because land for land's sake is never really a potent concept for conflict. But it's what you do with the land or what that land represents. You see, if you look at just the basic and fundamental trade, the barter trade that we speak of, a lot of it involved primarily just food. I have sheep, but I would like to have some chicken, which I don't have. And why? So that I can grow them in numbers and then so that I can eat. But the problem with modern times that we live in, and commercialization and big industry, is that food has, this particular generation and time in which we live in, your thesis has even more relevance now. Because in a traditional society, nobody had a monopoly on food, and the interdependency was actually something that was possible. But the moment you have big industry, you then have a situation where very few people can actually control and have absolute, almost a stranglehold on the supply of certain foodstuffs. Now, once they have that, then that concept of yours becomes a reality, because now they can do with it what they see fit.
True.
Or what they choose.
Very true. Think about the first means of acquiring food for human beings across the globe in our evolution is hunter and gathering was the first way we access food. So people would go and hunt and gather. You can't go and hunt by yourself. So the idea of community is very, very deeply tied to what? To farming. So even if you're and still once we evolve from hunter and gatherer to agriculture, then you cannot go and clear land, forest by yourself, right? Once you do that, you cannot protect that food by yourself, right? So what my brother here is saying, without saying it, is the element of community is very, very deeply tied to food. So when you change the food, the generation that we're talking about, or now this modern way of eating, what we are essentially saying without saying it is we are in an age of decommunization. The community is being redefined or destroyed depending on how you want to look at it. But the idea that somebody can control food is at the very, very heart of it, the way of destroying the concept of community. Just like you cannot attack a people who have good defense themselves, right? Or where, and that's why I talk about justice, or where justice exists. So you destroy community by means of injustice, and then people are not able to access food. Now you can control them, and that's why food is a weapon of mass destruction. You don't understand food, and a lot of people, I use the word food literacy, because I say, if you say my grandmother is illiterate, then you cannot say, tell your grandmother to text me, or get your grandmother to read this text. She can read. You understand very clearly what illiteracy means in the literally writing sense. But it's much harder for me to get a lot of people to understand what food literacy means, because we are literally just as illiterate as my grandmother relative to food. Grandmother is illiterate relative to reading and writing. We are illiterate relative to food. We do not understand the consequences of us shifting or somebody or accepting certain concepts or ideas proposed to us by other people, to the extent that we cannot really fully define what the consequences of that will be. Somebody comes and open a McDonald's, for example, or whatever other fast food joints, let's say that. And also, say, hey, I take my children there for their birthday, or for whenever we are celebrating an anniversary. Where did that concept come from? I don't know. I know my brother here is not Gen Z, so I don't know when the first time, whether he had a birthday celebration before he got out of elementary high school. We didn't have anything of that. But now you think about it, everybody, birthday. Where? But these are very small, very minute ideas that fly below our radar. We don't even really think about it.
Yes.
But yet, now children start eating birthdays. I wrote an essay about the first time I ate a cake. I can remember the first time I actually ate a cake. I didn't know what a cake was.
Oh, really?
Yes, I know. It was 19 pages essay, because it's so mind-boggling to me that these things, we accept them so like they're just, it's normal.
It's normal, but it is not normal to everyone.
It's not normal, and not only that, it's very destructive at the heart of it, because now, if you ask all these children, they can remember, some of them can remember the first time they ate a cake. But to most people, I don't know how many people I ever asked you that. You know, it doesn't occur.
Actually, what you've mentioned, for me, I can remember the first time I had a pizza.
But not a cake.
not a cake. Cake, I honestly can't tell you it was this time.
Yes.
But pizza,
Yes.
I can even remember the taste.
Yes.
I can even remember the type of pizza I had.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see how powerful it is. So with that now, eating a cake becomes normalized for people. Then what kind of impact does that have on the food anthropology, the medical anthropology of the people? Teeth becomes a major problem. We start spending a lot of money now fixing people's teeth.
Yeah.
If you have children who are having cavities at 10, at 12 or 14, what kind of health do you think they are going to have by the time they are our age? I'm 57 right now. 57, you spend a lot of money. What kind of impact does that have on our food culture? Because any money, the money we have is constant. That's not changing. That's not going to change. So if you earn 100,000 Kenya shillings, you have 100,000 shillings. So in your family, if you have a family of 2 or 3, and you have now 4 people who have problems with their teeth, over your lifetime, you're going to spend an X amount of money on this. What impact does you spending that amount of money, that ratio of money, have on your overall health? And it's not just the health of the father or the health of the mother, but now even for the health of the grandchildren, because now you remember the time you ate pizza because that's very recent, right? Now there are other things that are coming that people, your children will never remember. For example, if you have any, or your cousin or nephew, they'll never remember pizza.
Yeah.
And so on. That you see, now this change started shifting very, very slowly below our radar to the point whereby we will be able, and this is a crisis we have in the US, we will get to a point whereby even if we are not attacked by anybody else, by an outside force, the very cost of healthcare will lead to our demise. We'll die, right? We get to a point where we'll not, because of bad diet, people can have children, women can have children. We know for any country to have a birth rate that's below 2.1%, that's a replacement rate. So if you can maintain that, you're already dying. You'll eventually have more old people who are working that need to be supported by very few people, and that's what we have in the West.
Actually, Switzerland is currently, they have a program where they're giving people, they're paying people to go and live in certain parts of their country because those places are almost losing their population completely. So you're a foreigner, you meet a certain criteria, they pay you X amount of money, they literally pay you to come and live in their country because of what you're just talking about right now, the inability to replace the population that is dying off.
Now if you don't have a population in the region, or when it gets to a certain point, you see the problem, why it's a weapon of mass destruction, you just point on it, because when the population of a region gets below a certain point, people have to live there. You can't live there. You have to migrate because, you have old people in the village. There are no people farming.
Yeah.
So who will farm? You have a farm. You can't get workers. So you have to leave from the village where you come from to where there are more people.
And you see, the problem with that is the infrastructure that the government invested, the road network, the train network, the internet, and the buildings that they built will literally go to waste if they're not going to be used.
That's the double-edged sword of modern development, because modern development also came with family planning.
Yeah,
we had regions in this country where primary schools were shutting down.
Yeah,
not many.
I remember that crisis.
Yes, because all that means is that children are not being born at a fast enough rate to occupy the school. And if the numbers of schools are many, it means there was a time when there were very many children. That's why you had those schools. And when the numbers dwindled, you've heard of the concept of a ghost town.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
There's one somewhere in Mwea. I went and visited because I was going to a wedding. I was going to be the MC there, and I literally got there. Shops closed because there's no one to buy things in them. Homes abandoned, empty. There's no one to live in those houses. Beautiful homes, empty.
You see, many of them you find were dependent on a certain economic source. When that source dried up or it was inconsistent, then people didn't have the income to promote the businesses that were there. It's really that simple. So you find structures sitting there, which once were thriving, and it's almost shocking that with the development you would have expected it to have grown and become bigger, and yet with time it has diminished. It's what shocks you. But you see, when you have systems, let's talk about agricultural systems, because this is where now we nestle the food discussion, and they're manipulated. An example, I live in an area that grows sugarcane. And sugarcane, at its very peak, at the apex, farmers who had rotational plantation of just 2.5 acres, because that was the norm. This was enough for parents to pay fees, some even to send their children abroad. That bit. And the sugarcane would be planted by the factory, and at the end of the day, that factory would take their inputs once it has been crushed and sold in that process. And you found small little towns, like the town I come from is called Lamu. As a child, it thrived. There were shops everywhere. And I'm not talking about some ramshack, mabati structures, permanent structures. Many of those are ghosts. There's nobody in them. There's nothing happening in them now.
Really?
Yes. That whole ecosystem of sugarcane changed. Because one, we started importing sugar at much cheaper prices. Even when we had sugar, the way we planted sugar was not the most economic way. Forget Brazil. Here in Sudan, Kenana, they were planting sugarcane in the most economic way, the way people like the Brazilians do, in hundreds of thousands of acres, not 2-3 acres. So the economies of scale worked for them. So their sugar is cheaper. But to go to Brazil, this sugar that we use, that's a residue that they could give you for free. Their sugar and the finished product was alcohol, industrial spirits, stuff like that. That's where the money was. And the husks were used for fuel. So the white sugar that we know of was of not much consequences for them. So if someone starts dealing in that, if you don't have laws that protect your farmers, then that farmer is going to start having a problem with his product, because cheaper products have come into the market. His product becomes expensive and not as competitive. So now you certainly find there are compounds where you'll find an old shell of a tractor. They owned a tractor at some point, a shell of a pickup. It is a sign of a prosperity that existed, but that no longer exists. Because somehow the ecosystem where this particular business thrived in was altered by people who manipulated the system to benefit themselves. So the manipulation of that system brings about the destruction that we're talking about. If it's on a large scale, go to Mumias right now and look at the very thing I'm saying. Shops that don't seem to move, nothing seems to have moved. It's something you can actually witness, because it was thriving because whatever agricultural product they had was managed well, and the moment that was interfered with, poverty then set in. There are towns in South America that grew and even had opera houses because they produced rubber. All it took was for somebody to steal a rubber plant and take it to Southeast Asia. It was not native to Southeast Asia, it was native to Latin America. Ghost towns emanated because now it was being produced cheaper in larger quantities, so the money those people made no longer existed. So people moved out. So what you're saying is absolutely true. History is replete with stories of that nature. Gaza right here, right now, when you hear of starvation, that is a system being manipulated to ensure you don't get food, so you will starve. And once you starve and you don't eat, disease also creeps in. Diseases have a tendency of killing people if you don't handle it well. So the ripple effect of simply this manipulation, the destruction it can bring to bear on a citizenry is profound. And why it ends up in death is because the very thing that protected you, the resources that enabled you to stay healthy, to buy medicine if you need it, to do the things you need to do, the moment it isn't there, then you are on your way down. And if it happens in a large enough area, then it becomes mass. And so whatever destruction you're talking about in that small ecosystem, if spread out, that definitely becomes mass destruction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something to do with Russia at the time and what they did, back in the day. That was
it's Germany when they were fighting the Russians. There are those who argue there are two mistakes they made. The Russians, that scorched earth policy, they did it well. They would burn grain fields, They would burn cattle, meaning anything that those people could eat. But the Germans mistimed the Russian winter. The Russian winter was brutal. So just like Napoleon, it was Alexander before him, who it is said did not lose wars to countries, but he lost wars to disease, especially when he went into Asia, probably malaria. Natural disasters have been the causes of wars being won or lost, not necessarily people fighting and defeating each other. You go into a place that is, say, tropical, and you do not know that it's ridden with microbes that cause diseases, and you're unaccustomed. When the Spaniards first went to Latin America, Spanish conquistadores, as they are called, you'd pronounce it better.
Conquistador.
Yes. There's something they called around the place, Mexico, that we call Mexico.
Yep.
The curse of Montezuma. One of the things that happened to them, they started having running stomachs and diarrhea. And the interpretation was that their god Montezuma had cursed them. So for a long time, when people want to, in humor, refer to diarrhea, they talk about you having the curse of Montezuma. But that is how they understood it. Food, disease, welfare, genetics, your very being, these things are very connected. Now when somebody manipulates it, then the very thing that you're saying becomes a reality.
I want to add a very good point because I'm super fascinated by the whole conquering of the Americas by Spain. And even for a start, as I move on to the next point, the reason why they got to that part of the world is because Columbus was looking for spices. So food is still very spices. Yeah, there will never be.
What led to the colonization of all this land?
Yes. It's because he got lost looking for the way to India. Right? He wasn't going to discover America. He was going to look for spices.
So this was a mistake.
Yeah, it was a mistake. But it was a food. It's very related to food. Right? So that's number one. But number two, I want to go back slightly to one crop. Because I just, by the way, the reason why I'm bringing this point, I just came from Western, and I wrote an essay about my trip in Western. The last time I was in Kisumu was 1974.
That was a really long time ago.
Yeah, just the other day. And that's where I went to nursery school.
And you were very, very young then.
Yes, I was very, very young then. I'd never had a chance to go back again. But interestingly, this time, I almost went in the same way. I was very excited about going back to Kisumu. The first time, I was traveling overnight for the first time. You can imagine coming from the village in Moranga. And now I'm going to be in Kisumu. Oh man, I'm going to see Luos, people me I'd never seen, it's very exciting. In the same time, this time when I went to Kisumu, I went there because there was a conference going on highly hazardous pesticides. And I decided I'm going to go at 9:14 at night. And at 10:15 at night, I was in the bus going to Kisumu because I could not miss that conference. I thought I was going to be speaking on the next day, but they say, come today. The conference already started. Anyway, so I went there. This is the highest concentration of African intellectuals that have been around. Professors from Maseno University were there. And even more powerful than that, when I went to college to study medical anthropology, I didn't know a single anthropologist, African, leave alone Kenyan. It was just a new field for me. We were the first African students to attend these. Two of us were the first African students to go to this graduate program since 1971. And I went there in 1996, 97, right? So it was very, very new. But now I'm going to be among other professors who are medical anthropologists. You asked me what medical anthropologists. Most people I didn't even know until I got interested in the program. I didn't know what medical anthropology was. So I'm saying all that to kind of set the background. So I'm very excited. I'm all around all these intellectuals. The University of Oslo was part of that conference. There were people from Tanzania, people from Uganda, from people from Kabarak were there. People from Kenyatta University, all these universities. So you're talking about high level people, and it wasn't a very, very big conference. So this is my point. We were meeting at Kisumu University hotel. I went very quickly, So, and everywhere I go with a bag, as you see. I always carry food with me. But I was very curious what kind of food these people who know they are talking about food
What they
eat.
serve, yeah.
Oh man. Before they invited me to speak, they were concerned. They said, people are concerned. They don't want to invite you before people go to lunch because you will talk bad things about food. And true enough, that's what it was. Literally. And I got a lot of slack for this. But if I don't tell you the truth, then I'm not helping the situation. And one thing, I don't want to live as a hypocrite. I was disappointed from the reasons why, from cultural reasons, that even the most intelligent among the most intelligent amongst us, do not have such a strong beef about eating food that's not clean. They know the food that was served there was not clean food. They know it's good. They can't tell whether it's grown with pesticides. They know. If you didn't ask, if you don't know that the food market, the way the food market now is, where I live in the US and in the West, you have food that's very, very clearly classified. This is organic food. This is not organic food. So especially in Kenya, if you don't ask and you don't know, you should know that the food is grown with chemicals. And the same hazardous chemicals that are banned in Europe are being used here. That's what we are talking about. So those chemicals that have been proven are not fit for consumption in Western countries and Western populations. And we know they are being exported here. That's why we have this conference. So we know the chances of the food we are consuming in Kenya has been grown with those highly hazardous pesticides that we are there talking against, is most likely in the food we are consuming in the hotel. So I didn't eat any food.
So wait, I want to understand. You carry your own food?
Even in the plane. Since
even in the plane?
Even in the plane I carry my own food. I know. I'm literate about food. I'm literate. I know the food. That's what, in my life I don't do anything else. I only study food.
I also studied biotechnology, and one thing that knowledge gave me is germophobia.
Yes. Yes, you see. Okay, good.
So, because I know about these germs, the pathogens, and all these things that we interact with on a daily.
True.
So, I think maybe you, and I don't want to say you're suffering from the same, but because of that knowledge, now you're unable to just pick up anything and put it in your mouth.
True. But Paul, if you're an investor, if you're an investor and you know this share is going to go down, what kind of investor are you? You buy the share that you know is going to go down. What kind of investor are you? Are you phobia? Is that a phobia that you know?
But Paul, how is it a phobia? I mean, from the time we had COVID, and it was told to us very simply, you just need to wash your hands regularly. Simple. I wash my hands at every given opportunity.
That's a good thing. But you see, now for me, I got this knowledge before.
I'm asking, is that a phobia? Because that's where I'm going with my question. Because
no, germophobia is actually a thing where you're afraid of germs.
Yes.
You just don't want to interact with anything that could be having germs.
Yes.
Like, for example, this microphone. If I was like a proper, true, real germophobia, I'd be coming with my own microphone to the office.
True.
I connect it once, I'm done, I live with it.
Yes.
But since you studied it, Paul, you will know that the very system that we have in our bodies and the way we are, one of the ways in which we immunize ourselves against some of these things is also to be in contact with them.
It's very true, CT. What I'm trying to say is there are people who that is a serious thing whereby unaona hiyo kikombe unatumia mtu mwingine haezi iguza, huwezi mkubali aguze if you are that kind of person. Why? Because this person will come with germs. They probably even gross you out. Forget you being afraid of the disease, it just grosses you out, because once you visualize the bacteria and the fungus that this person brings with them, you won't allow them to touch your utensil. So there are people who are just like that.
Paul, there was a canteen that people used to eat at. I never ate there. It was within that huge Kenyatta National Hospital compound. The Kemri Center that I belonged to was within that compound. And up until that time, this idea of fresh salads was very good to me. Some of my colleagues who worked in the lab used to eat there. One of them took the salad and took it to the lab. The mistake I made was to listen to their findings. They even invited me to come and have a look at what was in the salad that people are eating every day. I do not touch
that salad.
It's raw. No. It doesn't matter what you tell me. I will not touch it. It's not a phobia. I'm not sure of where the water they use for cleaning that thing comes from. I have no guarantee. So why risk? So for me, vegetables, they have to be cooked. So when you talk about phobias, sometimes I think they are necessary. You know why? When you live in an environment, and I'm glad you brought this point, that you are not certain. I'm diabetic. I am allowed to eat bread, but it has to be whole wheat. Okay? And even in certain quantities. But I'm allowed to eat.
Yep.
You will find bread in the supermarket that they tell you is whole wheat. Now, when you're a diabetic, one of the things that happens to you, your body is very sensitive to many things. You eat that bread that you just buy, my friend, your body tells you immediately
it's not.
This thing is not whole wheat. Your body, just the way it responds, and you realize what I've eaten here is not really good. And yet when you eat something that is genuinely whole wheat, your body also responds very, very differently. So I am saying that knowledge, in fact, a new concept has emerged, something which I hadn't thought of. Just by virtue of eating things whose origins you're not certain of and whose quality you're not certain of, you could be killing yourself very slowly, and you're not even aware that you're killing yourself.
True story. True. So you carry your food everywhere? Even on the plane, as you said?
Even on the plane, and even raising my children. The one thing I know, because I understand the politics of food, and CT is very unfortunate for me to hear that you have you're diabetic, because these are things that I know we don't have to have. Right. So I want to respond before I come back about carrying food to another element that CT brought out to still more further emphasize about food literacy and the politics of food. You see, most of the wheat, as we say, okay, we agreed. If you don't know that this thing is organic, right, then you assume it's grown with chemicals. Okay, we agree on that. So let me tell you about an interesting concept you probably already know, but just in case you did. In the US and in most other countries now, it's even reached Kenya, wheat farmers are facing a lot of challenges because of the change of climate. So once the wheat is done, traditionally they will wait for it to dry, and once it's fully dry, they'll come and harvest it all. Now, a lot of wheat farmers cannot take that chance, because if it starts raining more and the wheat is done, it'll start sprouting and they'll lose the whole crop. So what the farmers do is they come with Roundup, glyphosate, and they spray the whole wheat field with glyphosate
to fasten the drying process.
The drying process. Once they do that, the wheat dries. Next 2 days, the wheat is completely dry. 3 days, you can harvest it. You're good. So if you ask CT and most other people, and I'm saying that because he's here, which is a better wheat for you to eat, he'll tell you brown wheat, right? Now, think about what I said. If the wheat is sprayed with glyphosate, Leave alone the amount of glyphosate that was used on the ground to farm.
To fertilize.
To kill the weeds. They use glyphosate to kill the weeds.
Okay.
It's a weed
killer.
Weed killer, right? You kill the weed, but it's very, very destructive. And there's actually a professor in MIT called Jennifer Seneff that has researched the correlation between autism and the use of glyphosate. And it's 1-to-1. If the increase of glyphosate in Kenya goes up by 20%, the rates of autism among children goes up by 20%. So I'm just giving you context. Glyphosate is very bad. So they use it to kill weeds before.
She has done this research.
Yeah, you see, you can
and followed it over a period of time.
Yes.
What did you say her name was again?
Jennifer Seneff, MIT. Jennifer Seneff. And I'm happy to send you back.
Okay.
So we know glyphosate is bad. Glyphosate, in 2018, Monsanto was taken to court for Roundup, and Dwayne Johnson in 2018 won the first case against Monsanto and was awarded over 200 million.
This is Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yes, Dwayne Johnson. Yeah, Dwayne Johnson was a groundskeeper at high school, and he was using Roundup.
Okay, it's not the wrestler. Okay.
No.
Okay,
he's a groundskeeper.
All right.
So he took Monsanto to court for having cancer, melanoma, because of glyphosate Roundup, and he won the case. It was big news in the organic field and in the food world. To win that case, it was the first case because people have been filing cases, and just like cigarettes, Monsanto was trying to dodge the case, right?
So you won 200 million USD.
Yes, in the case. Right? It's still repeal whatever. That's what they do. But we know glyphosate is bad. Right? Now, go back to the story of bread. Now, at that time, Dwayne Johnson is not growing any wheat. He's only spraying the Roundup at a high school field, at a school. Then he develops this cancer. And Roundup is just used to kill weeds, but he was not using protective measures and all that kind of stuff.
So he didn't have a PPE.
Yes. Right. So now think about that kind of level of toxicity. Put on bread, on wheat, and you just take you spray the Roundup on top of the wheat, and then you go and mill it, whole meal. So are you getting more glyphosate by using whole wheat, or are you getting less said when you use it only without the husk?
So you're definitely getting more.
Yeah, you're getting very more
when you're using whole meat.
Yes,
whole meal.
So whole wheat, it is not organic. Whole wheat is far worse wheat to eat. So I'm saying only this as just an addition to what CT said. That what Jennifer Seneff found out is that a lot of people think they are allergic to gluten. A lot of people suffer, they feel bad when they eat bread because they think that bread is not whole or whatever. But what they are allergic to is the glyphosate in the wheat. Another way, the food is very, very political because it's a political decision that was passed, and the government allowed the wheat to be sprayed with glyphosate, something that we know is very toxic.
You know, allergies present themselves in very unique ways.
Yes.
For example, if you have a nut allergy, you will swell certain places of your body, including sometimes even in your windpipe, and then you end up suffocating to death because you can't breathe. So, do we know of the kind of reactions that someone would have from glyphosate as compared to the kind of allergy you'd be having from gluten? So we can say, okay, they are similar, but the only way you can know, for example, is if you go for testing, and now we can tell, no, the allergy you have is not for gluten, it's for this chemical.
What I can say, okay, so I'm not that scientifically aware. I'm interested in food. What I can say, for example, is that my culinary school teacher, she was my favorite teacher in culinary school. She believed that she's allergic to gluten, so she doesn't eat gluten in the US. When she's from Italy, the family is from Italy.
Okay.
But when she went to Italy, in Italy they have all pizza everywhere, you know. So it's hard, man, to stay away from pizza.
Exactly.
So she said, I'll take a bite I know I'm allergic to gluten, but because we are home, we are back to our. I mean, I'll just
want to have
a bite.
a taste of home.
Yeah, just a taste of home. So she took a bite, and nothing happened. She took another bite, and nothing happened. She took the whole piece, and nothing happened. Then she realized that the wheat they grow in
the state
has a ton of gluten, and the wheat they grow in Italy is free. Is one is not very highly hybridized, and so it doesn't have a high amount of gluten, and so it's a traditional wheat they used to, and like so that's an example. That's at least that's the angle I'm coming from, other than the angle of the reaction. So in this particular one, because this is the major one, these other small allergies, those are a little bit more nuanced. It's maybe my body type. Like this is like on a huge, massive scale. As a chef, I cannot prepare food anywhere without thinking about gluten now. Who is gluten? Gluten. Now is a big thing. Why is it? Because certain companies have hybridized wheat so that they can sell this seed. They can sell this seed and they can monopolize this seed, the seed market, and they use the government. The government says in this, we are subsidizing these prices. We are so you understand. So there are ways of
Yeah. Now that you brought it up, we can talk about what has been happening recently with Bill Gates.
Sure.
This whole issue of our indigenous seeds, we cannot regrow, especially if we've bought the seeds from his organization. So that means once we grow, we cannot replant them. We have to go back and buy new seeds so we can come back. And yet, what is being said is that these were actually original African seeds that were genetically engineered.
Yes.
And so it's like they have taken the patent away from our number one African farmers, made them exotic, reselling them back to us. Can that also be looked into, and can we also assume that's another aspect of using food as a weapon of mass destruction, and just as a weapon itself?
Yes, wonderful. Now you're getting to the nitty gritty. So allow me to answer your question by using one crop, corn, and the politics behind it.
Corn, which we know as maize.
Maize, what you call maize, yes?
Yes.
So corn or maize is the most widely used grain in the world. There are very few people who are going to bed today without consuming some corn or corn product. By corn product, I'm even talking about sugar. High fructose corn syrup. So for you didn't eat corn, but you ate ketchup. Ketchup in the US using corn product, or maybe
even soda.
The sugar
soda.
high corn fruit soda. So corn is very, very widely used, because corn. If you grow, let me just say for brevity, is a very, very convenient thing to grow. You get a mass of it, you get volume of it, you can use on multiple ways. So corn is a preferred